Chapter 2374. Who? He didn't care about the changes in Elder Zhao's and Prying Bun's expressions. After devouring the long-haired king and the others, Ningyu couldn't help but heave a sigh of relief. To be honest, before coming to the Two Realms shop, Ningyu hadn't expected to obtain so many benefits. 10 tokens of the Endless Sky Immortal Empire. The long-haired and short-haired kings were extremely powerful. The effects of the 10 tokens had yet to be revealed, but the long-haired king and the others had already turned them into energy and entered Ningyu's body. You could say so. Before he devoured the long-haired monarch and the others, Ningyu's cultivation base was a pseudo-half-step immortal king, and his strength was 1. 5-stage half-step immortal king. After devouring the long-haired monarch and the others, Ningyu's cultivation base was still at the pseudo-half-step celestial king realm, but his strength had reached the 2nd-stage half-step celestial king realm. Voila! At this moment, the void cracked again. Tai Muqiang's figure flickered, appearing from the void. As soon as he appeared, Tai Muqiang's attention was focused on Ningyu. There was no other reason. He found that Ningyu's mental state had been greatly improved. Combined with the 2 human skins on the ground, Tai Muqiang was almost certain that Ningyu had devoured the long-haired king and the others. Terrifying. Tai Muqiang was shocked. The fact that Ningyu was able to devour the long-haired and short-haired kings in such a short amount of time and increase his strength by a lot was enough to show how terrifying Ningyu was. However, Tai Muqiang did not ask too many questions, because the stronger Ningyu was, the better it was for him. His true purpose was to enter the secret realm of the Soaring Sky Immortal Empire. He didn't want to become enemies with Ningyu for some minor benefits. Get ready. Come with me to the City Lord's mansion to meet a few people. Tai Muqiang only glanced at the 2 pieces of human skin on the ground before changing the topic. In 3 days, there will be a grand meeting in Broken Cliff City. At that time, Western City, Eastern City, Northern City, and Southern City will all send out a large number of geniuses. Martial artists go there. If you can come out on top in the meeting, the City Lord of Broken Cliff City will reward you with 1,000 pieces of 2 world stones. Whoosh! Hearing this, Ningyu was finally moved. 1,000 2 world stones was not an exaggeration to describe it as a huge sum of money. Go! While Ningyu was still in shock, Tai Muqiang stomped his feet on the ground and dashed into the distance. Let's go too. Without any hesitation, Ningyu immediately dashed out and followed closely behind Tai Muqiang. Actually, it was not that Ningyu was stupid. On the contrary, he was very smart. There were many experts in Western City, and many of them were more powerful than him. Under such circumstances, following Tai Muqiang was clearly the wisest choice. After all, Tai Muqiang had yet to show any signs of killing him. If he were to follow Tai Muqiang now, once he encountered any danger, Tai Muqiang would definitely come to his rescue. Just like how Tai Muqiang dealt with the 3 great kings of the sky demons, he took advantage of the situation. At the same time, Western City, City Lord Mansion. In the guest hall. At this time, more than a dozen martial artists had already gathered in the guest hall. Upon closer inspection, one would see that the dozen or so martial practitioners were divided into 3 camps. The leaders of the 3 camps were all very powerful. The leader of the left camp was called Lu Zhanfei. He was a 5th-stage half-step immortal king. The leader of the right camp was called Wu Xiong. He was a 4th-stage half-step immortal king. As for the leader of the middle camp, he was called Wang Yu. He was a terrifying early-stage immortal king. Whoosh! Not long after, in front of the main entrance of the guest hall, an old man in brown clothes appeared. Whoosh! When the old man appeared, everyone in the hall, including Lu Zhanfei, Wu Xiong, and even Wang Yu, hurriedly stood up. Haha, everyone, please take a seat. The reason I called you here today is to discuss the Cliff Festival. The old man in brown clothes smiled and said, "No need to be so reserved. Obviously, The old man in brown clothes was the city lord of Western City, the Western Venerable. In order to ensure that Western City would not fall to the last place in the Cliff Festival, the Western Venerable had used his connections to invite Wang Yu and the others. "What are you talking about, Western Venerable?" Wang Yu smiled and said, "The matters of Western City are our matters. As people of Western City, we should share the burden of Western City." "Ha ha, all right. Everyone, please take a seat." The old man in brown clothes laughed heartily and said, "I'll cut to the chase. I'm sure everyone already knows the rules of the Cliff Festival. As long as your cultivation does not exceed a first stage half-step Immortal King, including first stage half-step Immortal King, you can participate in the arena competition. As long as you can enter the top 10, the Cliff City Lord will reward you with 100 pieces of 2 world stones. The champion will be rewarded with 1,000 pieces of 2 world stones, an Immortal King elixir, and the Cliff City Lord's personal cultivation impartation." Boom! The crowd in the guest hall was in an uproar. The 1,000 pieces of 2 world stones were secondary. The Immortal King elixir was secondary too. Most importantly, the Cliff City Lord's personal cultivation impartation. One had to know. Even the last 3 disciples of the Cliff City Lord had not enjoyed such treatment. Today we will start with a simple selection. 5 martial artists will be selected to represent Western City in the Cliff Festival, the Western Venerable continued. "Shall we start now?" Lu Zhanfei asked. "There's no hurry. Someone is not here yet. Just now, he sent a voice transmission to me, saying that he has a surprise for me." The Western Venerable waved his hand and said, "I'd like to see who is coming." Swoosh! Just as the Western Venerable finished his words, a few figures appeared at the main entrance of the guest hall. Without a doubt, these figures were Ning Yu and the rest. The leader was Tai Muqiang, followed by Ning Yu, Du Shida, Lin Lang, and Rong Hao. "Tai Muqiang, you're late." The Western Venerable said to Tai Muqiang, "If you can't give me a surprise, I'll have to punish you." As he spoke, the Western Venerable shifted his gaze behind Tai Muqiang and began to observe carefully. The Western Venerable saw Du Shida first. Although Du Shida's cultivation was at the peak of half-step Immortal King, he was not very strong. In fact, he was very weak. Very soon, he was overlooked by the Western Venerable. The second person was Rong Hao. As someone from the Immortal Court, Rong Hao's cultivation was at the peak of the Heavenly Monarch realm. His overall strength was comparable to a pseudo-half-step Immortal King. However, this strength was obviously not enough to catch the Western Venerable's attention. The third person was Lin Lang. When he saw Lin Lang, the Western Venerable raised his eyebrows. Lin Lang's cultivation was at the peak of the Heavenly Monarch realm, but his overall strength was abnormally strong. In a one-on-one battle, Lin Lang could even compete with a peak of half-step Immortal King. Could he be the surprise for me? The Western Venerable was slightly disappointed. Lin Lang's talent was not bad. If he was nurtured well, when he reached the peak of half-step Immortal King, he should be able to compete with a Grade 1 half-step Immortal King. However, the Cliff Festival was about to start and time was limited. It was not enough for Lin Lang to reach the peak of half-step Immortal King. Chapter 2375. Pseudo-half-step Immortal King? The Western Reverend was utterly disappointed when he first saw Ning Yu. This was because Ning Yu's cultivation base was only that of a pseudo-half-step Immortal King, and he looked rather ordinary without any special characteristics. However, when the Western Reverend took a second look at Ning Yu, he felt that Ning Yu was not as simple as he seemed. This feeling, he had only felt it from the eldest disciple of the Broken Cliff City Lord. Could he be extremely powerful? With a thought, the Western Reverend winked at Wang Yu before pointing at Ning Yu. Wang Yu understood. He patted the shoulder of a young martial artist beside him and said in a low voice, "Go test that man. Remember, don't hurt him." Understood. The martial artist who was patted by Wang Yu was called Sun He. His cultivation base was at level 1 half-step Immortal King. Sun He was the strongest martial artist in Wang Yu's camp who met the requirement. He should be one of the 5 places. Swoosh. After receiving Wang Yu's order, Sun He immediately dashed towards Ningyu at a terrifying speed. Back off. Seeing Sun He attack, Tai Muqiang also knew that it was a test. Therefore, he flicked his wrist and shot out 3 forces, forcing Lin Lang and Du Shida back several feet. Level 1 half-step Immortal King. Looking at the martial artists approaching him, Ning Yu's expression was emotionless. A mere level 1 half-step Immortal King was not enough for him to take seriously. Arrogant. Ning Yu's reaction enraged Sun He. He yelled, "Remember, the one who defeated you is Sun He." Boom. Sun He clenched his right fist and punched towards Ningyu with all his might. Sun He used his full strength, causing the Western Reverend's expression to turn ugly. He glared at Wang Yu. If Sun He injured Ningyu, how was he going to explain to Tai Muqiang? After all, it was not a spar. If he really injured Ningyu, he would probably be ridiculed by Tai Muqiang. Wang Yu revealed a bitter expression. He also felt helpless. Bang. While Wang Yu and the Western Venerable were still worrying about Ningyu, the battle on the other side had already ended. Ningyu clenched his right fist and punched at Sun He's fist. Along with a clear and melodious sound rang out. Ningyu did not move from where he stood, but Sun He was pushed back several meters. He only stopped when his body crashed into the ground. Poochie. He spat out a mouthful of blood. Sun He's aura was rapidly declining. Gotcha. It was a critical moment. Sun He hurriedly took out a white pill and threw it into his mouth. The pill flowed down his throat and into his stomach, barely maintaining Sun He's breathing. After stabilizing his breathing, Sun He heaved a long sigh of relief. What a close shave. Fortunately, he had used his trump card. Otherwise, Ning Yu's move would have been enough to severely injure him. Little did they know. Sun He was overthinking things. It was not that he had used his trump card, but that Ning Yu had held back. Otherwise, even if Sun He had used his trump card, it would have been very easy for Ning Yu to severely injure him. Gulp. Inside the guest hall, when everyone saw how easily Ning Yu defeated Sun He, they all swallowed a mouthful of saliva. Especially those who were going to fight for the 5 spots, their expressions were extremely ugly. Originally, one of the 5 spots was decided by Sun He. They would fight for the other 4 spots with all their might. But now even someone as strong as Sun He was defeated so easily. Didn't that mean that they only had 3 spots? What was more exaggerated was that Ning Yu's cultivation was not that high. Lin Lang and Rong Hao were both peak stage heaven monarchs who came with him. They might take one of the spots as well. From the looks of it, what was there for them to fight for? He's not simple. The Western Venerable's expression changed from one of worry to one of seriousness. From Ning Yu's attack, he could conclude that Ning Yu was far from his limit. A stage 1 half-step to Immortal King was not his limit. Perhaps Ning Yu's strength had reached a stage 5 half-step to Immortal King. I have to find a way to confirm it. The Western Venerable was overjoyed. Once he confirmed that Ning Yu had a stage 5 half-step to Immortal King strength, he would definitely give Ning Yu some benefits and let Ning Yu break through to a stage 2 half-step to Immortal King. After all, a stage 5 half-step to Immortal King would definitely not be able to get the first place in the cliff meet. Although he was thinking about it, he did not show it. No matter how strong Ning Yu was, if Ning Yu wanted to get what he wanted, it must be tied to his interests. Thinking of this, the Western Venerable looked at Tai Muqiang and said, "You have indeed brought me a surprise. Don't worry. He will definitely represent West City in the cliff meet and will do his best to get the first place." How could Tai Muqiang not know what the Western Venerable was thinking? He waved his hand and said, "As long as you give him benefits, Ning Yu will help you fulfill your wish." On the other side, Ningyu's face was full of black lines. How long have I known you? You speak as if we are very close. Even if we are close, I am not the kind of person who will fulfill my wish as long as there are benefits. I am a person with principles, an upright and outspoken person, a 1,002 realm stones. The Western Venerable stretched out a finger and looked around the guest hall. He said, "If anyone can get the first place in the cliff meet, I will personally reward him with 1,002 realm stones." Boom! The Western Venerable's words caused another uproar in the guest hall. In addition to the 1,002 realm stones that the Cliff City Lord had rewarded, there was a total of 2,002 realm stones. The reward of 2,002 world stones was something that anyone would look forward to very much. I'll say it again. I'll cut to the chase. Let's start the selection. The Western Venerable said in a clear voice, "Lu Zhanfei, Wu Xiong, Wang Yu, Tai Muqiang, each of you will send a martial artist to fight in pairs. The winner will get the first place. The loser will stay and wait for others to challenge him until there are no more challengers. The loser will get the rest of the places." Rules. Simple and brutal. They would fight. The winner would get the place. The loser would lose the place. To motivate you, I've decided that whoever gets the first place will be rewarded with 102 realm stones. The Western Venerable took out a spatial ring and said, "There are 102 realm stones in here. I'll leave it here. Next, you will fight in pairs. Whoever wins first can take it away. Ningyu, you go." Tai Muqiang patted Ningyu's shoulder and said, 102 realm stones is not a small fortune. Even I'm tempted." "Zhao Hu, you go," Lu Zhanfei said. "Fang Ping, you go," Wu Xiong said. "Sun He. I think Zhou Zhe should go." Wang Yu had wanted to send Sun He. After all, Sun He's cultivation was a grade 1 half-step immortal king. He was extremely powerful. But on second thought, if Sun He was defeated, their morale would be greatly affected if they met Ningyu again. Chapter 2376. I want to try again. However, Sun He obviously did not want to give up. He took a step forward and said in a deep voice, "You have to get up from where you fell." This. Wang Yu looked troubled. Under normal circumstances, even if Sun He lost to Ningyu, he would definitely be able to get a spot as long as he participated in the losers group competition. However, Wang Yu was afraid that Sun He's consecutive defeats would affect his morale. After all, anyone would feel depressed after losing to the same person twice. Without a doubt, Wang Yu did not think highly of Sun He. He thought that Sun He would definitely lose in the second battle with Ningyu. "Since Brother Sun wants to spar with Ningyu, I won't force you." At this moment, Zhou Zhe took a step back and said, "You have to get up from where you fell. This is true, but I hope that Brother Sun can act within his means and not make a pointless struggle." "Humph! I don't need you to interfere in my affairs." Sun He snorted coldly and turned to look at Ningyu. He said coldly, "I want to challenge you. Do you dare to accept the challenge?" Ningyu's face darkened. "You can challenge me if you want, but you're bullying me by talking to me in such a tone." "I knew you wouldn't dare." Sun He flicked his wrist and took out a storage bag. He said, "There are 102 world stones in here. It's all I have. As long as you defeat me, it's yours." Gulp. Looking at the storage bag in Sun He's hand, Ningyu could not help but swallow a mouthful of saliva. Was it really that realistic? "I just didn't agree to it immediately, and you took out 102 world stones to tempt me." If he was not afraid that Sun He would keep the 2 world stones, Ningyu would definitely wait a little longer. "Actually, I think that there's no need for any stakes in the spar between us." Ningyu waved his hand and said in a clear voice, "We're fighting for a spot in the Broken Cliff meeting, so there's no need for us to fight to the death. But since you insist on taking out 102 world stones, then I won't refuse. Take this." Sun He was honest. He tossed the storage pouch aside and dashed toward Ningyu in a flash. Sun He's speed was very fast. In the blink of an eye, he arrived in front of Ningyu. He punched out, bringing with it a violent gale of energy, ruthlessly smashing towards Ningyu's chest. At the same time, on the other side, the Western Venerable One glared at Ningyu. He wanted to see if Ningyu could win easily in their second exchange. Although he knew that Ningyu was extremely powerful, he did not dare to underestimate Ningyu. However, he had to be sure, he had to look carefully. Because he had already planned to nurture Ningyu, he could not carelessly hand over the benefits to Ningyu. Bang! All of a sudden, Ningyu and Sun He's fists collided. The two fists collided. The result was the same as before. Before Ningyu could react, Sun He was sent flying and landed heavily on the ground. He spat out a mouthful of blood. Sun He's face turned extremely pale. The only good thing was that Sun He's aura did not drop this time. Whoosh! After defeating Sun He, Ningyu casually picked up the storage pouch on the table and shook it before saying to Sun He, "Thank you. I should be thanking you." Sun He was honest. He wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and said, "Luckily, you held back just now. Otherwise, I would have lost a layer of skin even if I didn't die." "It's my duty." Ningyu placed the storage pouch into the Red Fiend and said casually. In fact, it would be very easy for Ningyu to defeat or even kill Sun He. However, Ningyu did not do that. There was no other reason. Ningyu and Sun He did not have a deep grudge. On the contrary, they might work together at the cliff meet. It would be irrational to severely injure Sun He at this time. Ningyu wins. The Western Venerable One's voice was heard. Second round, Fong Ping vs. Zhao Hu. Whoosh, whoosh. Fong Ping and Zhao Hu stepped out at the same time. They first saluted each other with their fists, and then began an intense battle. Rumble. The battle between Fong Ping and Zhao Hu was more intense. From the beginning of the battle to the end, it took more than 10 minutes. Fong Ping's cultivation was a half-step Immortal King. Zhao Hu's cultivation was a peak half-step Immortal King. Although the battle between them took more than 10 minutes to determine the winner, the result was not out of everyone's expectations. Fong Ping was the final winner. Of course, whether Fong Ping or Zhao Hu won, the result would not affect Ningyu. Anyway, he had already obtained one of the 5 spots. Next, after a few rounds of intense battles, the final 5 spots were determined. Ningyu, Sun He, Jose, Fong Ping, Zhao Hu. Sun He was not discouraged by his 2 defeats. Instead, he became more courageous as the battle progressed and obtained the 5th spot. Ningyu, this is for you. After the spots were determined, the Western Venerable One tossed a storage bag to Ningyu and said, "I, the Western Venerable One, am a man of my word. There are 102 realm stones in here." Ningyu took the storage bag with a smile. Including the 102 realm stones he won from Sun He, Ningyu now had a total of 203 realm stones. Seeing that Ningyu accepted the 2 realm stones, the Western Venerable One said loudly, "Since the spots have been determined, our next task is to participate in the Cliff Grand Meeting and strive to get first place." Whoosh! The Western Venerable One was not a person to waste time. He reached out with both hands and tore a crack in the void in front of him. Then, he went straight into it. Behind him, Ningyu, Tai Muqiang, and the rest followed him into the void. Not long after, at the main entrance of Cliff City, crack! The void suddenly split open, and a dozen martial artists appeared. They were none other than the others. They were Ningyu and the rest who had left West City, including Lu Zhanfei, Wu Xiong, Tai Muqiang, and the Western Venerable One. There were a total of 12 people. The 5 martial artists who were going to participate in the Cliff Grand Meeting, as well as Rong Hao, Du Shida, and Lin Lang. Whoosh! As soon as Ningyu and the rest arrived at the main entrance of Cliff City, 6 martial artists dashed toward them from the east. Soon, the 6 martial artists arrived in front of Ningyu and the rest. "Oh, I was wondering who it was," So it's the Western Venerable One. The white-haired old man who was leading the group curled his lips and said sinisterly, "Don't tell me that West City is going to get first place again in the Cliff Grand Meeting like last time?" Ah! As he spoke, the white-haired old man laughed maniacally to himself. That was because West City had indeed gotten first place in the previous Cliff Grand Meeting. However, it was the reverse first place. 4 cities, no, including Cliff City, there were a total of 5 cities. West City ranked last and was eliminated in the first round. According to the rules, the resources obtained by the first city to be eliminated would be reduced by 10%. Actually, the 4 cities were all under the jurisdiction of Cliff City. The Cliff City Lord had the direct appointment and immunity of the city lords of the 4 cities. Every year, the Cliff City Lord would take out a large number of 2 world stones and distribute them to the 4 cities. There were even rumors. Cliff City and the 4 cities had long been secretly controlled by the super-celestial kingdoms of the Celestial Court. Of course. Chapter 2377. Eastern Venerable One, don't you think you're meddling a little too much? The Western Venerate's face turned cold as he said, "Just manage your Eastern City well. There is no need for you to concern yourself with the matters of our Western City." Hee, it's just a joke. Why get angry? The white-haired elder, who was the Eastern Venerable Lord, smiled and shifted his gaze behind the Western Venerable Lord. Unfortunately, it was a coincidence. The first person that the Eastern Venerable One saw was Ningyu. When he found out that Ningyu's cultivation base was only at the pseudo-half-step Immortal King realm, his mouth was slightly agape and his face was filled with astonishment. Ah! While surprised, the Eastern Venerable One threw his head back and laughed maniacally. After laughing maniacally, the Eastern Reverend said sinisterly, "Western City is really full of geniuses. I didn't expect that even a pseudo-half-step Immortal King could be sent to participate in the Broken Cliff meeting." That's right. Any Tom, Dick, or Harry is qualified to participate in the Broken Cliff Festival. If I were to encounter such a person, I would definitely beat the crap out of him. It might not be appropriate to search for his teeth all over the ground. Just cripple his cultivation. Cripple my cultivation? You guys are too cruel. In my opinion, you should break his arms and legs at most. No, no, no. In my opinion, let them kneel down and kowtow to us. I say, the 4 of you, can't you be more merciful? No matter what, he's a peerless genius that Western City had selected after experiencing innumerable hardships, so he ought to be given some respect. The 5 martial artists selected from the Oriental City began to discuss among themselves. The 5 of them had the right to be arrogant. That was because all 5 of them were first-stage half-step Celestial Kings. A Stage 1 half-step Immortal King against a pseudo-half-step Immortal King. As long as the opponent wasn't a piece of trash, the opponent would basically be able to win. What is the meaning of this? This matter concerned the reputation of Western City, so Sun He immediately stepped forward to reprimand them. What do you mean? A young man from Eastern City puckered his lips and said, Sun He, I know you. You're at the half-step Immortal King realm just like me. But I can tell you clearly that I only need to use 50% of my strength to deal with you. I can beat the crap out of you. Arrogant. Sun He flew into a rage. His figure flashed, and he immediately rushed towards the young man. Bang! Although Sun He was very decisive in his attacks, however, the result was not satisfactory. The young man was right. He had only used 50% of his strength to easily defeat Sun He. Allow me. Seeing Sun He's defeat, José immediately rushed out. Bang! The result was no different. José was in an even more miserable state than Sun He. This time, the young man had only used 30% of his strength to easily defeat him. Next, Fang Ping, Zhao Hu. The 2 of them overestimated themselves and charged out, wanting to regain some face for Western City. But the result was still the same. Papa. After defeating 4 martial artists in a row, the young man clapped his hands and said calmly, "Western City is really getting worse with each passing year. Last year, a powerful martial artist appeared, but this year, all of them are repulsive." Whoosh! Hearing the young man's mocking words, Sun He, Jose, and Fang Ping all shifted their gazes to Ningyu. "Ningyu, why didn't you make a move?" Sun He's expression was very ugly as he said to Ningyu, "The people from Eastern City provoked us. As the number 1 participant in the cliff meeting, how can you sit back and do nothing?" The others also glared at Ningyu. Obviously, they were angry that Ningyu did not make a move. The actions of Sun He and the others seriously affected the young man. He raised his eyebrows and his gaze fell on Ningyu. It seemed that Ningyu was the most powerful one in Western City. However, the young man was a little confused. Because Ningyu's cultivation base was only a pseudo-half-step immortal king. He really could not understand why a pseudo-half-step immortal king would attract the attention of Sun He and the others. Could it be? Was Ningyu pretending to be weak? Thinking of this, the young man directly cupped his fists at Ningyu and said, "My name is Qianbo. I hope to have a spar with you." "Don't be nervous." Ningyu ignored Qianbo and said to Sun He, "The dog bit you. Do you have to bite back?" "What do you mean?" Seeing that Ningyu had ignored him, Qianbo said coldly, "Don't be so shameless. Western Venerable, I thought the people from Eastern City were arrogant enough. I didn't expect the people from Western City to be even more arrogant." The Eastern Venerable said with a calm expression, "I hope that Western City won't encounter us at the cliff meeting. Let's go." Then, the Eastern Venerable glared at Ningyu and turned to walk toward Cliff City. However, before the Eastern Venerable could take a few steps, Qianbo said hurriedly, "City Lord, I want to have a spar with Ningyu, regardless of life and death." Swoosh! As soon as Qianbo's words fell, the surroundings instantly fell silent. This included the people from Western City and Eastern City. It was clearly irrational to have a life-and-death battle before the cliff meeting had even begun. "Are you sure you want to have a life-and-death battle with Ningyu?" The Eastern Venerable stopped in his tracks and asked. "I'm sure," Qianbo said in a deep voice. The truth was, Qianbo was a little uncertain. He had 2 guesses from the expressions of Sun He and Jose. Firstly, Sun He and the others had a grudge against Ningyu, so they were trying to frame Ningyu. Secondly, Ningyu was very strong, so Sun He and the others were very convinced of his strength. It would be fine if it was the second possibility, but if it was the first one, he might not be able to bear the consequences. "This is for you." The Eastern Venerable and Qianbo had similar thoughts. In order to ensure that Qianbo would win, he secretly gave Qianbo a black bead when the crowd was not paying attention. The black bead was something he had obtained from the Immortal Court. It was no exaggeration. As long as the black bead was detonated, even a 5th-stage half-step Immortal King would die. Initially, the Eastern Venerable was going to give the bead to the person who brought glory to Eastern City, but now, he had no choice but to give it to Qianbo. This was because the grudge between him and the Western Venerable was so great that it could not be reconciled. In order to gain the upper hand in the battle against Western City, he did not hesitate to give the black bead to Qianbo first. "Take it." The Western Venerable was not idle when the Eastern Venerable gave the black bead to Qianbo. He silently stuffed a golden command token into Ningyu's hand, and then he said in a low voice, "At the moment of danger, pour your immortal energy into the command token, and it'll be able to exert a terrifying energy. Even a 5th-stage half-step Immortal King wouldn't be able to bear the consequences." It was obvious. The Western Venerable and the Eastern Venerable were both willing to pay. One took out the black bead, while the other took out the golden token. Can I say something?" Ningyu accepted the golden token, then raised his right hand and said, "Qianbo wants to fight me to the death, but I don't want to fight him to the death." "You don't dare?" Qianbo said fiercely, If you don't dare, then kneel down and kowtow to me. I'm sorry, it's not that I don't dare, but I feel that even if I kill you, it won't do me any good, so I might as well not fight. Chapter 2378. Yu, hearing Ning Yu's arrogant words, Qianbo gnashed his teeth in anger. No matter what, he had the cultivation of a half-step immortal king, while Ning Yu was just a fake half-step immortal king. A fake half-step immortal king dared to talk to him like this. Did he really have the confidence? However, now that Ning Yu had completely infuriated Ning Yu, even if Ning Yu had the confidence, Qianbo would still go all out and show no mercy. Taking a deep breath, Qianbo said coldly, "What do you want?" "Pa." "Simple." Ning Yu snapped his fingers and said, "Add 1,002 realm stones." Swoosh. As soon as Ning Yu said that, in an instant, the eyes of the cultivators on the Oriental cities side widened and their faces were filled with disbelief. 1,002 realm stones? One should know. The first place of the Broken Cliff meet was only rewarded with 1,002 realm stones. Now Ning Yu asked for 1,002 realm stones as a reward. Was he really that confident in his own strength? Ning Yu's words made Qianbo speechless. To be honest, he had a lot of 2 realm stones, but he definitely couldn't afford 1,000. Seeing Qianbo's expression, Ning Yu shrugged and said, "You don't even have 1,002 realm stones, yet you want to have a life and death fight. Aren't you ashamed?" You. Qianbo was shaking with anger. Being mocked by Ning Yu in front of so many people, he couldn't help but feel angry no matter how thick-skinned he was. Moving his eyes, Qianbo looked at the remaining 4 warriors from Oriental City who were participating in the Broken Cliff meet. Although he didn't say anything, his meaning was self-evident. He wanted 2 realm stones. In Qianbo's opinion, as long as he could gather 1,002 realm stones, Ning Yu would definitely have a life-and-death fight with him. "I have 200 here." After a while, a grade 1 half-step immortal king took out a storage bag and threw it to Qianbo. "I have 200 too." "I have 300. "I only have 100. After a while, Qianbo had collected 802 realm stones. He took out another 202 realm stones, which was exactly 1,000 stones. Shaking the storage bag containing the 1,002 world stones, Qianbo said to Ning Yu coldly, "Here are 1,002 world stones. If you win the deathmatch with me, they will belong to you." Bang! Immediately after, Qianbo took a step forward and shouted coldly, "I'll ask you one last time, do you dare or not?" "SOSO." Ning Yu used his senses to check the storage bag and said, "1,000 stones of 2 world is indeed a lot, but it's nothing to me." "You want to act shamelessly?" Qianbo's eyes widened. If he was not afraid of the Western Venerable One, he would have taught Ning Yu a lesson long ago. He would not have waited until now. Although the Eastern Venerable Lord was extremely arrogant, he was actually slightly weaker than the Western Venerable Lord. If they were to really fight to the death, the Eastern Venerable One would definitely be the first to die. On the other hand, the Eastern Venerable One's weakness limited Qianbo's ability to be arrogant. That was because Qianbo knew very well. He could mock Ning Yu and provoke Ning Yu with words, but as long as Ning Yu did not agree to a deathmatch with him, he would not be able to make the first move. "I'm not trying to act shamelessly." Ning Yu rolled his eyes and said, "How about this? We'll decide this in one move. 1 punch for you, 1 punch for me. Let's see whose fist is harder." Ning Yu's way of fighting to the death surprised Qianbo. In a deathmatch, he had to use his trump card no matter what. Moreover, he planned to use the black bead that the Eastern Venerable One had given him right from the start. However, according to Ning Yu's way of fighting, how was he going to use the black bead? Just as Qianbo was confused, Ning Yu spoke again, "Let's make this clear. The one who dies has to hand over everything to the other party." Good Lord! The Eastern Venerable One's expression changed slightly when he heard what Ning Yu said. He finally understood why Ningyu wanted to fight in such a way. It was obvious. Ningyu had seen how he gave the black bead to Ningyu earlier. Or rather, the Western Venerable One had found out and told Ningyu about it. Regardless, Ningyu knew that Qianbo had the black bead on him. Deciding life and death with one punch might seem exaggerated, but it was actually Ningyu's confidence in his ability. Just think about it. If Ningyu was a yes man, he would definitely use the token that the Western Venerable One had given him. Okay, I promise you. After being provoked by Ningyu, Qianbo immediately shouted, I hope you won't play any tricks. I'll stand where I am and let you punch first. In reality, Qianbo was not a fool. The reason why he didn't attack first was that he wanted to see what Ningyu was up to. As for deciding life and death with one punch, the one who punched later would obviously have an advantage. After all, the one who punched first would not burn his blood essence and vitality. The one who punched later could burn his blood essence and vitality to enhance his ability once he realized that things were not going well. No problem, as you wish. Ningyu did not waste time talking to Qianbo. He stomped on the ground and dashed out at a terrifying speed. Ningyu's speed was so fast that it only took him 0.1 seconds to arrive in front of Qianbo, giving Qianbo no time to react. Oh no! Qianbo was indeed a half-step immortal king. Seeing that Ningyu had appeared in front of him rapidly and his fist was getting bigger, he immediately burned his blood essence and vitality to throw a terrifying punch. Bang! In the blink of an eye, Ningyu's fist collided with Qianbo's. The two fists collided. Qianbo stood on the spot without moving. On the other hand, Ningyu retreated over 10 m before he stopped. Swoosh! However, Ningyu did not choose to stop and recuperate. Instead, he rushed to the storage bag on the other side. He heaved a sigh of relief when he got Qianbo's storage bag containing 1,002 realm stones. What are you doing? Put down the storage bag. You've been defeated by Qianbo, so you should hang yourself. That's right. Kill yourself now, or we'll kill you for Qianbo. Ningyu's action completely infuriated the 4 martial artists from Oriental City. They all spoke out against Ningyu. They even displayed their aura, as if they would attack if Ningyu did not put down the storage bag and kill himself. Why are you so agitated? Ningyu curled his lips and said, The deathmatch between Qianbo and I ended long ago. Qianbo was killed by me, so this storage bag should be mine. Moreover, I'm going to take all of Qianbo's belongings and even strip his clothes. Are you going to kill me? You! Hearing Ningyu's words, the 4 martial artists from Oriental City opened their mouths slightly and their faces were filled with disbelief. They had seen arrogant people, but they had never seen someone as arrogant as Ningyu. You've obviously lost, but you make it sound like you've won. Humph! I'll give you one last chance. Put down the storage bag and kill yourself. Otherwise, I'll let you know what cruelty is. Chapter 2379. Wouldn't I lose face if I put down my storage bag just because you asked me to? Ningyu rolled his eyes and said, If you guys have the time to do that, you should hurry up and improve your strength. Otherwise, you'll end up like Qianbo when you meet me at the Cliff Festival. Will end up like me? At this moment, Qianbo said from afar, Although we didn't kill each other in the life and death duel, according to the rules, you should kill yourself or stand still and let me kill you if you lose. Why are you going back on your word? As they spoke, Qianbo even looked at the Western Venerable One, trying to force him to fulfill his promise. Western Venerable One, how do you think we should settle this? The Eastern Venerable One also looked at the Western Venerable One and said, Ningyu lost to Qianbo, but not only did he not admit defeat, he became even more arrogant. If you're not willing to fight, I can clean up the mess for West City. Ningyu laughed. What was arrogance? What was admitting defeat? I didn't lose, so why should I admit defeat? What are you laughing at? Qianbo said fiercely. You can still act so nonchalantly after losing. I have to say that you're the most— Stop. Ningyu waved his hand and interrupted Qianbo. He said calmly, actually, you're already dead. Sun He and the others from West City were speechless when they heard Ningyu say that Qianbo was dead. Some of them even took a few steps back, not wanting to be associated with Ningyu. Qianbo was standing right in front of him, but he said that he was dead in front of him. Was that really okay? Ha ha ha. Qianbo was stunned at first, then he threw his head back and laughed maniacally. I've seen stupid people, but I've never seen someone like you. However, before Qianbo could finish his sentence, he suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood, and his aura began to decline rapidly. What's going on? I don't know. Is Qianbo sick? Get lost. How could he be sick? He's clearly injured. How is this possible? How could Qianbo be injured? Didn't he defeat Ningyu? This time, the 4 Eastern City martial artists began to panic. Qianbo's condition combined with Ningyu's words. Could it be, was Qianbo really dead? Whoosh. As soon as this thought appeared in their minds, the expressions of the 4 cultivators from Oriental City changed drastically. If Qianbo was really dead, they probably wouldn't have a good ending if they encountered Ningyu. After all, Ningyu had only used 1 punch against Qianbo. Qianbo's eyes widened, and he looked like he was about to collapse. He stretched out his right hand and pointed at Ningyu. He wanted to say something harsh, but before he could finish, his body suddenly fell backwards. Bang! His body hit the ground. Qianbo died tragically on the spot. Hiss! Qianbo's death caused the surrounding cultivators, including those from Western City, to inhale a mouthful of cold air. Was Qianbo really dead? You should know. The life and death duel between Ningyu and Qianbo ended with just 1 punch. Furthermore, just a moment ago, Qianbo was still alive and kicking, mocking Ningyu. How did he die just after turning around? Good. The Western supremacy did not care how Qianbo had died. All he thought was that he should be happy that Ningyu had won. The Western Venerable Lord repeated the word good 3 times. He patted Ningyu's shoulder and said, "The 1002 realm stones are what you deserve. Also, since you've killed Qianbo, according to our agreement, everything on him belongs to you as well. Take off your clothes." All right. Ningyu nodded and walked towards Qianbo step by step. Swish, 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 swish. Seeing Ningyu walking towards Qianbo, the 4 Dongfang City martial artists hurriedly stood in front of Qianbo. What do you want? Qianbo is already dead. Don't tell me you still want to insult his corpse. That's right. Qianbo was already pitiful enough to be killed by you. How could you do this? Get out of here, or the 4 of us won't be polite anymore. Hearing the voices of the 4 Dongfang City martial artists, Ningyu's face darkened. Insult? How dare you use this word? Aren't you ashamed? I killed Qianbo, so I should take away everything on him. You're not insulting Qianbo, but me. Boom. The furious Ningyu instantly unleashed his aura. However, Ningyu did not unleash the aura of a 2nd stage half-step Immortal King. Instead, he unleashed the aura of a 5th stage half-step Immortal King. This aura was just right. It was enough to suppress the 4 Dongfang City martial artists without causing them to make a move. A 5th stage half-step Immortal King? Little did they know. As soon as Ningyu unleashed his aura, the 4 Dongfang City martial artists were overjoyed. They thought that Ningyu's strength was strong. At least, his strength was comparable to a 3rd stage half-step Immortal King martial artist. Originally, they had lost the confidence to fight with Ningyu. But now, Ningyu only unleashed a 5th stage half-step Immortal King's aura, and they felt that their hope had come. The short-haired martial artist even had some ideas. He wanted to have a life-and-death duel with Ningyu and defeat Ningyu. Then, the 1002 realm stones that Ningyu had just obtained, as well as the magic treasures on him, would all belong to him. However, the short-haired martial artist did not dare to make a move. A life-and-death duel. If you're willing to bet, you must be willing to lose. Ningyu moved his feet and soon arrived in front of Qianbo. He squatted down and began to search Qianbo's body. After a while, a black bead appeared in Ningyu's hand. Without too much observation, Ningyu shook his wrist and threw the black bead into his arms. Although he did not observe much, Ningyu could basically be sure. The power of the black bead should be comparable to that of the golden token. If it unleashed its greatest power, it could defeat and even kill a 5th-stage half-step immortal king. So poor. Unfortunately, apart from the black bead, Ningyu only found 102 realm stones and some scattered magic treasures and elixirs on Qianbo. At this point, Ningyu had a total of 1,403 two-realm stones. Even Wu Xiong and Lu Zhanfei were a little tempted by so many two-realm stones. One of them was a 5th-stage half-step immortal king, and the other was a 4th-stage half-step immortal king. They already had 2 realm stones. If they added Ningyu's 2 realm stones, then they would have a great chance to become a real immortal king. Of course, they were just thinking about it. Ningyu had the protection of the Western Venerable and Tai Muqiang. Even if they had 10 guts, they would not dare to go against Ningyu. Clothes. Ningyu got up and stared at Qianbo's clothes. He rested his chin on his right hand, as if he was thinking about whether to take it off. Don't go too far. Seeing Ningyu's action, the short-haired martial artist took a step forward and said fiercely, "If you dare to take off Qianbo's clothes, I will fight you to the death. I can fight you to the death. I will not refuse 1,000 two-realm stones," Ningyu said without turning his head. Then, he squatted down again and reached out to take off Qianbo's clothes. Because Ningyu realized. Chapter 2380. If Qianbo wasn't wearing an Immortal King level armor, then Ningyu definitely wouldn't risk offending the Eastern Venerable by taking off his clothes. However, the Immortal King level armor was a huge boost to Ningyu. It could be said that, without wearing the Immortal King level armor, Ningyu's current overall strength could contend with and even kill a 2nd-stage half-step Immortal King. However, once he wore the Immortal King level armor, even if he met a 2nd-stage half-step Immortal King, he would be able to contend with it easily. Stop right now. The short-haired martial artist took a step forward and released his aura, crazily pressing towards Ningyu. Moreover, the short-haired martial artist took out his flying sword, wanting to attack Ningyu. That's enough. At this moment, the Eastern Venerable said calmly, "You've already killed Qianbo, why are you being disrespectful to him? You can't say that." Before Ningyu could answer, the Western Venerable's voice slowly sounded. "If the one who died was Ningyu, in my opinion, Qianbo would definitely do the same. In a battle of life and death, it's all up to fate. Moreover, we've agreed beforehand that everything on the person who died would belong to the winning party. I want to ask, did Ningyu win or did Qianbo win?" "You!" The words of the Western Venerable made the Eastern Venerable speechless. Indeed, the winner was Ningyu. According to the agreement, everything on Qianbo's body belonged to Ningyu. However, being stripped in front of so many people was equivalent to slapping his face. The most important thing was, the force behind Qianbo wasn't weak. The Qian family was a big family in the eastern city. There was a real immortal king in the family. The reason why he didn't follow this time was because the immortal king had just entered the immortal court a few days ago and hadn't returned yet. Otherwise, Ningyu killed Qianbo, the immortal king of the Qian family would definitely not let it go. "Isn't it just an armor?" The Eastern Venerable's face was cold as he flicked his wrist and threw an armor to Ningyu. Swish. Immediately after, without waiting for Ningyu and the others to react, the Eastern Venerable One brought Qianbo's corpse into the city. But the Western Venerable would not allow the armor to fly to Ningyu. His figure flashed, and he first removed the distance on the armor before throwing it to Ningyu. Thank you. Receiving the armor, Ningyu expressed his thanks and put it on. Ningyu was not worried about the armor, because he had Immortal King Tai Muqiang and Western Reverend Immortal King on his side. The two great celestial kings were here. If there was a problem with the armor, they would definitely notice. You've killed Qianbo. When you enter Broken Cliff City later, try to keep a low profile, the Western Supremacy reminded him. The Qian clan is a great clan, and they have an immortal king. Celestial king? Ningyu's expression was grave. With his current strength, let alone a high immortal king, even a fifth-stage half-step immortal king would have to suffer grievances. If the Qian clan's immortal king attacked him, he would definitely end up in a miserable state. However, the Western Supremacy's next words made Ningyu relax a little. Don't worry. The Qian clan's immortal king has gone to the immortal court. He won't be back for a while, the Western Supremacy said. After entering Broken Cliff City, you just need to keep a low profile. If anyone dares to bully you, you can fight back. With Tai Muqiang and me around, no one in Broken Cliff City will dare to do anything to you. Ningyu nodded. He knew very well that the Western Supremacy wanted to rely on him to suppress the Eastern City. In other words, he wanted to rely on him to obtain first place in the Broken Cliff gathering. As for Tai Muqiang's thoughts, he was temporarily unable to guess. In short, he was very useful to both Tai Muqiang and the Western Supremacy. Under such circumstances, Tai Muqiang and the Western Supremacy would definitely protect him and prevent him from getting hurt. Let's go to Broken Cliff Plaza first. The Western Supremacy patted Ningyu's shoulder and walked straight towards Broken Cliff City. Broken Cliff Plaza. Located in the center of Broken Cliff City, it was the largest plaza in Broken Cliff City. In the past, Broken Cliff Plaza had always been deserted, with few people coming and going. But today, Broken Cliff Plaza was obviously very lively. There was no other reason. Today, on Broken Cliff Plaza, there would be a grand gathering. Broken Cliff Gathering. Generally speaking, the time of the Broken Cliff Gathering was not fixed. As long as the Broken Cliff City Lord was willing, it could be held 3 to 4 times a month. But this time, the Broken Cliff Gathering was known as the most spectacular Broken Cliff Gathering in history. According to the rules that were revealed beforehand. Western City, Eastern City, Northern City and Southern City, the 4 major cities would send a total of 20 experts who were below level 1 half-step to Immortal King Realm to participate in the gathering. The 20 experts would fight in pairs. The winner would advance to the next round, while the loser would be eliminated. In the end, 5 experts would be selected to compete with the 5 experts from Broken Cliff City for the final competition to fight for first place. It was said that the Broken Cliff City Lord placed great importance on this Broken Cliff gathering. The reward for the champion had also been increased from 1,002 realm stones to 2,002 realm stones. Moreover, he would personally impart his skills to the champion, reward him with 3 Immortal King elixirs and 3 days of cultivation in the Broken Cliff Pool. One had to know. The Broken Cliff Pool was a sacred place for cultivation. It was a place that even immortal kings dreamed of. As long as one was not an idiot, cultivating in it for 3 days would increase his or her cultivation by 1 or 2 levels. Sha. At the same time, at the entrance of the Broken Cliff Plaza, Ningyu, the Western Venerable, and the rest were walking over slowly. Looking carefully, the number of people in Ningyu's group had significantly decreased. Among them, Wu Xiong, Lu Zhanfei, Wang Yu, and even Tai Muqiang were nowhere to be seen. The 4 of them were hiding in the void, paying close attention to the changes in their surroundings to prevent people from other cities from causing trouble. After all, such things had happened before. During the first few sessions of the Broken Cliff Grand Meet, the Eastern City had ruthlessly killed a peerless genius from the Western City. Because of this, Western City was ranked last in that year's Cliffside Grand Meeting. Therefore, this time, the Western Venerable was extra careful. He asked Tai Muqiang and the rest to hide in the void, just in case. Ning Yu, you must have found a lot of good stuff from Qianbo, right? You see, I used up tens of thousands of talismans to cover you during your Heavenly Lord tribulation. Why don't you share some with me? Since he had nothing to do, Lin Lang moved to Ning Yu's side and said sneakily, Do you really want it? Ning Yu said, 102 realm stones. Give me 102 realm stones and I will give you all the Dharma treasures and elixirs I found from Qianbo. That good? Lin Lang was suspicious. There must be something wrong when something was out of the ordinary. Based on his understanding of Ning Yu would not be so kind. It's up to you. Ning Yu shrugged and said nonchalantly. Anyway, Lin Lang had a lot of good stuff. It would be good if he could extort 102 realm stones from him. Ning Yu's indifference made Lin Lang somewhat hesitant. A while later. Chapter 2381. Ascension Pill Swish. Ning Yu's face darkened when he heard Lin Lang's words. He glared at Lin Lang and said coldly, You were so hesitant when I asked you to give me 3 immortal court tokens. Why do you have 82 realm stones now? Go away, I will keep Qianbo's things. I won't give them to you. Don't. Lin Lang said hurriedly, I will give you 102 realm stones. Ning Yu hesitated when he saw Lin Lang's eagerness. Could it be? Qianbo really had something good that he had overlooked? At the thought of this, Ning Yu released his perception and started to detect what he had found on Qianbo. Shit. He wouldn't have known if he hadn't taken a look, but the moment he did, he was shocked. Ning Yu was shocked. Fortunately, Lin Lang reminded him. Otherwise, he would have missed something good. Ascension Pill. Qianbo had a peerless elixir. As the name suggested, Ascension Pill could unconditionally raise a martial artist's level. To put it simply, Qianbo's previous cultivation base was half a step to the Immortal King realm. If he consumed the Ascension Pill, his cultivation base would soar to the second step to the Immortal King realm. Obviously, Qianbo wanted to keep the Ascension Pill as his trump card and suddenly consume it at the cliff gathering. According to the rules, all the martial artists who participated in the cliff gathering could not exceed the first step to the Immortal King realm. Breaking through in the middle of a battle was allowed. Therefore, many martial artists would prepare elixirs to raise their cultivation base and seek breakthroughs during the competition. However, there were very few people like Qianbo who carried the Ascension Pill with him. After all, not everyone had the backing of an immortal king like Qianbo. Lin Lang should have a special method to detect the aura of the Ascension Pill. Ning Yu rolled his eyes and thought to himself, coincidentally, I can keep the Ascension Pill. In this way, I can swindle 102 realm stones. Ning Yu was not an indecisive person. He immediately said to Lin Lang, Give me 102 realm stones first, then I will give you the Dharma treasure and elixir. This, Lin Lang hesitated. He wasn't sure if Ning Yu knew about the promotion pill or not. It would be fine if Ning Yu didn't know, but if Ning Yu knew, then he would really suffer a double loss. Gritting his teeth, Lin Lang finally threw a storage bag to Ning Yu. After checking the storage bag and confirming that there were 102 realm stones in it, Ning Yu threw the Dharma treasures and elixirs to Lin Lang. Gotcha. At the same time that he threw the pill to Lin Lang, Ning Yu took advantage of the moment when Lin Lang was unprepared and suddenly threw the Ascension Pill into his mouth and chewed it. For Qianbo, he might not be able to take the Ascension Pill in advance, but for Ning Yu there was no need to worry about this at all, because his cultivation was only at the pseudo-half-step Immortal King realm. Boom! The advancement pill entered his mouth. It flowed down his throat and into Ning Yu's stomach. Ning Yu continued to circulate his Heart Sutra as he began to refine the medicinal efficacy of the Ascension Pill. Very soon, the aura on Ning Yu's body soared rapidly. Not long after, it soared from the pseudo-half-step Immortal King realm to the peak half-step Immortal King realm. As Ning Yu hurriedly suppressed his aura, no one around him, including the Western Supremacy and Lin Lang, could see anything wrong. As for Lin Lang, after he received the Dharma treasures and elixirs that Ning Yu threw to him, he did not even check them and directly threw them into his arms, afraid that Ning Yu would go back on his words. Idiot! Ning Yu rolled his eyes. Lin Lang's biggest mistake was not checking them. 102 realm stones for one ascension pill. If he was not afraid that Lin Lang would flip out, Ning Yu would definitely give him a kind reminder. Rustle! 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 On the other side, Ning Yu had just raised his cultivation to the peak half-step Immortal King realm. A few martial artists appeared in front of him. It's him. He killed Qian Bo. Ning Yu recognized one of the martial artists. It was the short-haired martial artist who wanted to spar with him previously. At this moment, the short-haired martial artist pointed at Ning Yu and introduced him to the martial artist beside him. At that time, Qian Bo had already surrendered, but he still attacked relentlessly. Eventually, Qian Bo was killed. Ning Yu's mouth was slightly agape. He had seen shameless people before, but he had never seen someone as shameless as this short-haired martial artist. Did he really think that he was a pushover? 4 city lords, please come to the pavilion. At this moment, a powerful voice suddenly sounded in the air above the square. The Western Supremacy glanced at the short-haired martial artist before stepping on the ground and rushing towards the pavilion in the middle of the square. You killed Qian Bo? As soon as the Western Supremacy left, the middle-aged man beside the short-haired martial artist started to make things difficult for him. He looked at Ning Yu from head to toe and said, Qian Bo is a member of our Qian family. You killed him, which means that you are going against our Qian family. How about this? I'm not an unreasonable person. Kneel down and kowtow to me a few times. Then, cripple your cultivation and sea of consciousness, and this matter will be over. Swoosh. The words of the middle-aged man made the surrounding martial artists retreat. This kind of thing would always happen in the Cliff's Grand Meeting. Other than sparring between the 4 major cities, the Cliff's Grand Meeting would also allow people to settle personal grudges. Over the years, this had become an unwritten rule. Obviously, the surrounding martial artists recognized the middle-aged man. The Qian family had an immortal king and was one of the top families in the Oriental city. Now that the Qian family was handling matters, they had to give way. That martial artist is just a pseudo-half-step immortal king. He offended the Qian family and is destined to die a tragic death. Isn't it so? Last time, there was a second-stage pseudo-half-step immortal king expert who offended the Qian family. It was Qian Feng who appeared and killed him. Let's make a bet. Let's see how many moves Qian Feng will use to kill this pseudo-half-step immortal king. The surrounding martial artists discussed animatedly. Because Ning Yu hid his aura, their understanding of Ning Yu was still at the pseudo-half-step immortal king realm. Do you need our help? Sun He and Zhou Zhe took a step forward and came to Ning Yu's side. They asked, the opponent is Qian Feng, a second-stage pseudo-half-step immortal king. No need. Ning Yu waved his hand and said, it's fine if he doesn't provoke me. If he provokes me, I'll make him suffer the consequences. After swallowing the ascension pill and advancing to the peak of the pseudo-half-step immortal king realm, Ning Yu's comprehensive strength had a qualitative leap. Without using the immortal king battle armor, he could kill a third-stage pseudo-half-step immortal king expert. If he used the immortal king battle armor, even a 3-5-stage pseudo-half-step immortal king was no match for him. What was even more exaggerated was that Ning Yu still had 2 absolute trump cards, the black bead and the golden token. With these trump cards, unless he encountered a immortal king expert, he had nothing to fear. Then you're on your own. Sun He and Zhou Zhe did not stay for long. They immediately retreated and made space for Ning Yu and Qian Feng. You're very arrogant. The corners of Qian Feng's mouth curled up, and he said sinisterly, A pseudo-half-step immortal king dares to talk to me like this. I have to say, you're really arrogant. I don't need you to judge whether I'm arrogant or not, but I'm very clear that your brain is probably damaged. While they were talking, Ning Yu's aura suddenly burst out. Chapter 2382. Unable to withstand a single blow. Feeling the peak half-step immortal king aura emanating from Ning Yu, Qian Feng couldn't help but laugh out loud on the spot. He had thought that Ning Yu would have some big moves, but it turned out that he was just a wax figure with a silver spear. Not to mention that Ning Yu was a peak half-step immortal king. Even if Ning Yu was the same as him, a second-stage half-step immortal king, he wouldn't be afraid. After all, his status in the Qian family was very high, and he had a lot of trump cards. Simply put, he could easily kill a 2-5-stage half-step celestial king. And this was the reason why he came to find Ning Yu. What a joke! A mere peak half-step immortal king has the nerve to show off in front of Qian Feng. Yeah, if I were him, I would definitely kneel in front of Qian Feng. How can you kneel? You have to kowtow a few times. It was similar to Qian Feng's reaction. The surrounding martial artists mocked him. In their opinion, the result of the battle between Ning Yu, a peak half-step immortal king, and Qian Feng, a second-stage half-step immortal king, was already destined. Unless a miracle happened. Otherwise, Ning Yu would definitely die. Ning Yu, have you thought about it? Qian Feng turned to look at Ning Yu and said lightly, "Surrender, destroy your cultivation, kowtow to me a few times, or, speaking of this." Qian Feng paused for a moment. Following this, a terrifying aura was emitted from his body. Boom! His aura was extremely terrifying, reaching the second-stage half-step immortal king realm. Obviously, Qian Feng wanted to use his aura to oppress Ning Yu and defeat Ning Yu by force. It had to be said. Qian Feng obviously didn't take Ning Yu seriously. Although his aura was that of a second-stage half-step immortal king, Ning Yu could kill Qian Bo, who was a first-stage half-step immortal king realm, more or less showed that he had some trump cards. It was very difficult to defeat Ning Yu with aura alone. Humph! Ning Yu snorted coldly when he saw Qian Feng unleashing his aura. Immediately, he took a step forward, clenched his right hand into a fist and violently smashed it towards Qian Feng. Ning Yu didn't even need to use his Immortal King battle armor to deal with a second-stage half-step Immortal King. Ning Yu was very clear about this. This was the Broken Cliff Plaza. As the trump card of West City, the battle between him and Qian Feng would definitely be watched by many. Under such circumstances, using a trump card would be a foolish choice. You overestimate yourself. When Qian Feng saw that Ning Yu was not afraid of his oppressive aura and instead clenched his fist and punched over, Qian Feng's face instantly became gloomy. Stepping on the ground, Qian Feng borrowed the momentum and threw out a punch as well. Qian Feng did not hold back in this punch. He gathered all the energy in his body into his fist. He could tell. Qian Feng wanted to defeat Ning Yu with one punch. Gotcha. However, the ideal was plentiful, but the reality was harsh. In the blink of an eye, Qian Feng's fist collided with Ning Yu's fist. The two fists collided. A crisp cracking sound rang out. Then, Ning Yu stood where he was without moving. On the other hand, Qian Feng's body was sent flying backward. Gotcha! Gotcha! His body hit the ground, and several bones in his body were broken on the spot. After succeeding in one move, Ning Yu did not continue to attack. Instead, he stopped. But at this moment, Sun He's reminder rang in Ning Yu's ears. You and Qian Feng are having a life-and-death battle. You can kill him. Hearing Sun He's reminder, Ning Yu thought for a moment and felt that it was reasonable, so he hurriedly dashed out. In fact, Ning Yu's original idea was to keep Qian Feng alive for the time being and use him to threaten the Qian family to see if he could get more benefit. After all, Qian Feng was only a second-stage half-step immortal king. He should not have brought too many things with him. However, since Ningyu had decided to attack, he naturally would not show any mercy. In the blink of an eye, he came to Qian Feng's side and punched out, directly smashing Qian Feng's head. Then, Ningyu squatted beside Qian Feng and began to search his body. After a while, Ningyu retracted his palm. His face was full of regret. It was no different from what he had guessed. Qian Feng, who was a second-stage half-step immortal king, only had a few two-realm stones on him. As for the rest, there was nothing. Sigh, what a poor ghost. Ningyu put the two-realm stones in his arms and rolled his eyes. Swoosh. The surrounding martial artists were speechless when they heard Ningyu's words. You killed someone and still said that he was a poor ghost. However, these people only dared to think about it in their hearts. With their strength, conflict with Ningyu now was undoubtedly courting death. After all, Qian Feng, who was a second-stage half-step immortal king, was easily killed by Ningyu. Let's go. On the other side, seeing that Qian Feng was killed in an instant, the short-haired martial artist from Oriental City immediately chose to escape. He had already clashed with Ningyu at the entrance of Broken Cliff City. Now, he brought Qian Feng to find trouble. If Ningyu were to attack him, he would definitely have to bear the consequences. At this time, escaping was the best choice. As long as he escaped to the stronghold of Oriental City, Ningyu would not dare to do anything to him. Swoosh. However, it was obviously too late for the short-haired martial artist to escape at this time. Ningyu's figure flashed and appeared in front of him in an instant, blocking his way. What do you want? The short-haired martial artist was shocked, but on the surface, he pretended to be very calm and said, I just came to watch the show. The fierce battle between you and Qian Feng has nothing to do with me. Nothing to do with you. The corner of Ningyu's mouth curled up slightly. He pointed to the other Qian family martial artists and said, All of you, come here. Sha sha sha. Among the remaining martial artists of Qian family, the highest cultivation was only at the peak of half-step immortal king. Their boss Qian Feng was killed. Even if they wanted to escape, they did not have the ability. Helpless, they could only follow Ningyu's instructions and came in front of Ningyu. I'm here to ask you a few questions. If you can answer them honestly, I can let you go. Ningyu said lightly. Are you serious? A peak of half-step immortal king of Qian family opened his eyes wide and said hurriedly, Ask away. We will definitely tell you everything we know. The peak of half-step immortal king who spoke was called Qian Hao. Originally, Qian Hao thought that they would die without a doubt. However, there was always a glimmer of hope. Ningyu was obviously not a bloodthirsty person. Otherwise, they would have died long ago. How did you find me? Ningyu stretched out a finger and asked. It's a short-haired martial artist. He took the initiative to find Qian Feng and told him that you killed Qian Bo and that you were in a very bad state. Qian Hao said almost without thinking. In order to survive, Qian Hao could be said to have thrown caution to the wind. If he did not betray the short-haired martial artist, he would be the one who died. As the saying went, if you don't go to hell, who will go to hell? These words were Qian Hao's true thoughts. Very well, the second question. Ningyu nodded and continued, What is the cultivation of the strongest martial artist in Qian family? How many martial artists above stage 3? Chapter 2383. Go for wool and come home shorn. Ningyu cursed on the spot. Dozens of them? According to the ratio, there should be about 10 half-step to immortal king. The golden token and black bead are far from enough. Ningyu thought to himself, seems like I have to improve my cultivation base as soon as possible. If I can improve my cultivation base to half-step to immortal king realm, I won't have to fear half-step to 4 or even half-step to immortal king realm. Thinking of this, Ningyu said to Qian Hao, Leave all the Dharma treasures and elixirs on you and get lost. Alright. Qian Hao was overjoyed. He hurriedly put all the Dharma treasures and elixirs into his interspatial ring and threw them to Ningyu. The rest of the Qian clan's martial artists followed suit. Swish, 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 leaving behind the Dharma treasures and elixirs, the Qian clan martial artists retreated. The short-haired martial artist wanted to fish in troubled waters but was stopped by Ningyu again. "What are you trying to do?" The short-haired martial artist said coldly. "I am from Oriental City. Moreover, I didn't have a life-and-death duel with you. You can't kill me." "Did I say I was going to kill you?" Ningyu said indifferently. "Leave behind 1,000 two-realm stones and get lost. Otherwise you should know the consequences." "You are robbing me." The short-haired martial artist was furious. How could he have 1,000 two-realm stones? Moreover, even if he had them, he would never hand them over to Ningyu. What did 1,000 two-realm stones mean? With so many two-realm stones, the short-haired martial artist could even improve his cultivation base to half-step to Immortal King realm. "I don't think so." Ningyu was not angry. Instead, he moved his feet and walked towards the short-haired martial artist step by step. Dong, dong, dong. Ningyu walked very slowly. However, every step he took was like a huge boulder that weighed thousands of kilograms smashing into the short-haired cultivator. "All right." After a while, seeing that Ningyu was only 3 steps away from the short-haired cultivator, the short-haired cultivator hurriedly said, "I'm willing to give you 1,000 two-realm stones, but you have to give me some time. I'll gather them immediately." "I can give you the time, but to prevent you from acting shamelessly, I want to leave something in your sea of consciousness." After finishing this sentence, Ningyu did not wait for the short-haired cultivator to react. He flicked his wrist and a cold light entered the short-haired cultivator's sea of consciousness. "What did you do to me?" The short-haired martial artist turned pale with fright and hurriedly said, "I've already promised to give you 1,000 two-realm stones. How can you go back on your word?" "Sorry, I'm not going back on my word. I'm just afraid that you'll go back on your word." Ningyu shrugged and said, "You have 10 minutes of time. If I don't see 1,000 two-dimension stones in 10 minutes, then the consequences you face will be extremely miserable." Whoosh! The short-haired martial artist was not an indecisive person. As soon as Ningyu said those harsh words, he immediately got up and dashed towards the Oriental City's stronghold. 10 minutes to gather 1,000 two-realm stones. It might be more difficult for others, but for the short-haired martial artist, it was not very difficult. "Ningyu, how did you advance to the peak of half-step Celestial King?" As soon as the short-haired martial artist left, Lin Lang came over and asked in confusion. At this time, Lin Lang had vaguely guessed something, but he was not very sure, because he did not see Ningyu consume the Ascension Pill. "I'm a genius. So what if I advance to the peak of half-step Celestial King?" Ningyu glared at Lin Lang and said, "We haven't settled our score yet. You'd better behave yourself. How about we discuss something?" Lin Lang was not angry after being glared at by Ningyu. He said directly, "Tell me how you can advance so quickly, and I'll give you 100 two-realm stones." Ningyu was a little suspicious. Since when was Lin Lang so kind? 100 two-realm stones was not a small number. Lin Lang had just taken out 100. Could he still take out 100 now? Could it be? Lin Lang had over 10,000 two-realm stones on him? Thinking of this, Ningyu looked at Lin Lang and sized him up. "What are you doing?" Lin Lang hurriedly retreated and looked at Ningyu warily. "I'm telling you, I'm not gay." "Bastard." Ningyu kicked Lin Lang and said, "Give me all the two-realm stones on you and I'll tell you why I can advance so quickly." "No way." Lin Lang immediately rejected Ningyu. What a joke. How many two-realm stones did he have? Not to mention giving all of them to Ningyu, even if he only gave him a third, he wouldn't be willing. "Then I'm sorry." Ningyu spread his hands, expressing his helplessness. Sha sha sha. At this moment, The short-haired martial artist who had left not long ago hurried back. It took less than 3 minutes for the short-haired martial artist to return. Ningyu gave him 10 minutes, but he only used 3. It had to be said that the short-haired martial artist's desire to live was very strong. Here you go. After the short-haired martial artist returned, he did not waste any time talking to Ningyu, and directly threw a space ring to Ningyu. Swish. After throwing the space ring, the short-haired martial artist immediately turned and left. But Ningyu caught the space ring steadily and was about to throw it into the red demon sword. Ningyu was not afraid that the short-haired martial artist would act shamelessly. Without a doubt, there must be 1,000 two-realm stones in the space ring. Hey, aren't you going to take a look? Seeing Ningyu's actions, Lin Lang said in surprise, "What if the short-haired martial artist is playing with you?" "Playing with me?" Ningyu pointed at his nose and said, "Even if I gave him 10 guts, he wouldn't dare to play with me." "That's not necessarily true." Lin Lang curled his lips. "Come and check for me, see if he is playing with me." Ningyu's eyes turned, and he took out the space ring from the red demon sword and casually threw it to Lin Lang. Catching the space ring, Lin Lang was slightly surprised. Was Ningyu not afraid that he would take the two-realm stones for himself? With a suspicious attitude, Lin Lang extended his perception into the space ring. No problem? Feeling the 1,000 two-realm stones in the space ring, Lin Lang was a little puzzled. It didn't make sense. When the short-haired martial artist came, he clearly saw the corner of the other party's mouth curling into an evil smile. Could it be that the short-haired martial artist had masochistic tendencies? The more Lin Lang thought about it, the more he felt that something was wrong. Swoosh! Suddenly, a cold gleam shot out from the space ring, shooting towards Lin Lang at a terrifying speed. F***CK the dark crystal. Seeing the cold gleam, Lin Lang shouted on the spot, "Ningyu, you set me up!" Because Lin Lang had discovered it. The power of the cold gleam was extremely strong. Even a second-stage half-step immortal king would die if he encountered it. Looking at the situation, this was the root of the short-haired martial artist's evil smile. "Block it for me." At the critical moment, Lin Lang pretended to take out a talisman and threw it at the cold gleam. Boom! The talisman and the cold gleam exploded at the same time. The aftermath of the explosion rushed towards Lin Lang's chest. Being hit by the aftermath, Lin Lang directly retreated several feet before stabilizing his body. Other than his face being a little pale, Lin Lang was completely fine. "He's fine?" Lin Lang's state surprised Ningyu. The cold gleam that was enough to kill a second-stage half-step immortal king was actually easily blocked by Lin Lang. Moreover, in that instant, he clearly sensed that Lin Lang was wearing a suit of armor. As expected. Chapter 2384. A challenge. Of course there is. Lin Lang glared at Ningyu and said, "Did you already know there was a problem with the spatial ring? Are you trying to harm me?" Lin Lang was so angry that his nose was crooked. He did not bring many trump cards with him when he left the immortal court. He had used up many talismans and almost exposed his intermediate immortal king battle armor. To be honest, he was really afraid that he would expose all his trump cards if he stayed with Ningyu. "How would I know there was a problem?" Ningyu rolled his eyes and said, "It's you who wanted to check for me. I didn't force you. How can you blame me?" Lin Lang was furious and said coldly, "I will confiscate the spatial ring. The 1,000 two-realm stones in it can make up for the trauma in my heart. I don't mind if you don't want me to follow you to the secret realm." Ningyu shrugged, indicating that it did not matter. Anyway, Lin Lang wanted him to go to the secret realm of the Endless Sky Immortal Kingdom. Unless Lin Lang felt that the items in the secret realm were not worth 1,000 two-realm stones, he would definitely hand over the stones obediently. As expected, Ningyu's guess was right. Lin Lang had a conflicted expression on his face. Very quickly, He threw the spatial ring to Ning Yu and said fiercely, "You'd better use your full strength when we enter the mystic realm. Otherwise, I'll make you pay." Pa. Catching the spatial ring, Ning Yu threw it into the red demon sword. As for Lin Lang's threat, Ning Yu pretended not to hear it. If there was good stuff in the secret realm, he would definitely take the initiative without Lin Lang saying anything. But if there was nothing in the secret realm, he would definitely not take the risk even if Lin Lang made things difficult for him. First of all, welcome to the cliff gathering. At this moment, a voice suddenly sounded in the sky above the cliff square. Whoosh! Everyone looked in the direction of the voice. Right above the cliff square, an old man in gray clothes was standing in the air. Obviously, the old man was Broken Cliff City's city lord, and his name was Xiao Duanya. I don't want to waste my breath. Now, I'll briefly introduce the rules of this cliff gathering. Xiao Duanya was not a chatterbox. He directly said in a clear voice, "The 20 ancient martial art practitioners who are participating in the Broken Cliff gathering will fight in pairs. The winner will advance to the next round, and the loser will be directly eliminated." The martial artists from the 4 major cities did not speak. They were already aware of this rule. Now that the Broken Cliff City Lord had said it again, they appeared very calm. Since ancient times, the winner was the king and the loser was the bandit. If they won, they would enter the next round. If they lost, they would be eliminated. There was nothing wrong with this rule. As long as you were strong enough, you would definitely be able to enter the next round, or even the final battle. According to this rule, 5 experts will be chosen and the 5 martial artists from Steep Cliff City will fight it out. During the conversation, Xiao Duanya clapped his hands. Swish, 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 swish. In an instant, 5 ancient martial art practitioners flew out and floated beside Xiao Duanya. First stage half-step Immortal King? When Ning Yu, who was in the plaza, felt the auras of the 5 cultivators beside Xiao Duanya, his expression changed slightly. Of course, the reason why Ning Yu's expression changed slightly was not because of the cultivation of the 5 ancient martial art practitioners, but because Ning Yu felt a palpitation from them. This feeling, Ning Yu had only encountered it when he was facing Immortal King-level experts. These 5 ancient martial art practitioners from Steep Cliff City were definitely not Immortal Kings. From this, it could be seen that they were definitely hiding some kind of trump card. At this moment, Ning Yu could not help but start to suspect. Why did Xiao Duanya want to hold a Broken Cliff Grand Meeting and change the rules of the competition? It had to be known. In the past Broken Cliff Grand Meeting, although the scale was smaller, it was completely different from this one. He shook his head. Ning Yu forced himself to calm down. No matter what, he would deal with the situation as it came. He had Tai Muqiang and the Western Venerable backing him up. The Broken Cliff City Lord probably would not dare to do anything to him. Now, I announce that the competition begins. As Ning Yu was thinking, Xiao Duanya's voice stopped abruptly. Crack, 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 crack. Immediately after, 4 huge circular arenas slowly rose from the ground of the Broken Cliff Square. After a while, the circular arenas rose completely. Swish. As soon as the arenas stabilized, a martial art practitioner jumped up and said in a deep voice, "I am Li Shueba from North City. If any of you find me an eyesore, you can come up and challenge me." Swish. As soon as Li Shueba finished speaking, another arena was occupied by a young martial art practitioner dressed in white. Similarly, the white-clothed martial art practitioner said in a deep voice, "I am Lu Can from South City. If any of you find me an eyesore, you can come up and challenge me. I guarantee that I will spare your life." What was different from Li Shueba was that the white-clothed martial art practitioner released his aura while he was speaking. Rank 1 Peak Half-Step Immortal King. The white-clothed martial art practitioner's cultivation had reached the rank 1 Peak Half-Step Immortal King realm. On Oriental City's side, The short-haired martial art practitioner looked at the other four, then clenched his teeth and jumped onto the arena. Actually, the original leader of Oriental City was Qian Bo. Since Qian Bo had been killed, the short-haired martial art practitioner had no choice but to take his place. Although Oriental Venerable had found another young martial art practitioner to make up for the 5 participants, the short-haired martial art practitioner did not think that the young martial art practitioner would be that strong. Therefore, he was determined to be the first one to stand out. After all, the situation was already very clear. Each of the 4 major cities would send a martial art practitioner to enter the arena for the first round of competition. The martial art practitioners who entered the arena were the strongest in their respective cities. This was also to prevent the strong from meeting each other too early. Swish. After 3 arenas were occupied, everyone's eyes shifted to Western City's side. There were a total of 5 arenas. The short-haired martial art practitioner from Oriental City, the white-clothed martial art practitioner from South City, and Li Xueba from North City. There were only 2 arenas left. Unless one thought that he was strong, he would only choose to enter the arena when there was someone from Western City defending the arena. Because entering the arena at this time would mean provoking Western City. Ningyu had just killed Qianfeng, a rank 2 half-step immortal king. It was obviously irrational to go against him at this time. Go. Over at Western City's side. Son, he looked left and right before his eyes finally stopped on Ningyu. He said, "You represent Western City. You must finish the first battle quickly." This concerned the reputation of Western City. Son, he would not go against Ningyu. If these defenders could not persist to the last round, they would not only lose their own people, but also the people of their respective cities. Therefore, the defenders in the first round were the strongest in their respective cities. As for the remaining 16 martial art practitioners, they would fight for the last spot to advance. I, Wang Lai from North City, challenge Lu Kan from South City. I, Wen Hu from South City, challenge Li Xueba from North City. I, Zhou Zhe from West City, challenge Xie Yun from East City. It was only now that Ningyu found out that the short-haired martial art practitioner was called Xie Yun. However, a name was just a code name. It did not matter whether he knew it or not. Swish. Chapter 2385. A silly smile. Logically. If the people of Western City challenged Xie Yun of Eastern City, then the warriors of Eastern City would definitely come out to challenge Ningyu. However, Ningyu's performance of killing Qianfeng was still fresh in everyone's mind. What was the difference between challenging Ningyu now and courting death? TSK, the people of Eastern City are really cowards. Isn't that so? No one in such a big city dares to challenge Ningyu. Don't worry, maybe Eastern City will be the first to be eliminated. Hee, let's bet and see if there will be anyone in Eastern City who can't withstand the pressure and come out to fight with Ningyu. The discussions that reached their ears enraged the martial artists of Dongfang City. Among them, a warrior of about 20 years old took a step forward and said fiercely, I, Eastern City's Yan Hao, challenge Western City's Ningyu. Swish. While they were talking, Yan Hao leaped up and jumped onto the stage where Ningyu was. I admit that you are very powerful to be able to kill Qianfeng, but I am not weak either. After jumping onto the stage, Yan Hao said directly, Today, I will kill you in front of so many people and let you know what real strength is. You want to kill me? Ningyu stared at Yan Hao and said, With your strength of half a step to a mortal king, you can't even touch me. Arrogant. Yan Hao was so angry that his nose was crooked. He had endured hardships for so many years, and this time, he came out to fight with Ningyu in order to amaze the world with a brilliant feat and let everyone remember him. Ningyu, on the other hand, he directly mocked him, which made him feel very insulted. Swish. With both feet on the ground, Yan Hao immediately rushed out. How many moves do you think Yen Hao will be defeated? In my opinion, 10 moves at most. 10 moves? You underestimate Ning Yu too much. To tell you the truth, based on my years of watching arena matches, Yen Hao will be defeated in 5 moves at most. 5 moves? That's impossible. No matter what, Yen Hao is a stage 1 half-step Immortal King. If Ning Yu, a peak stage half-step Immortal King, wants to defeat him, it will probably take him 8 moves. Do you dare to make a bet with me? What are we betting on? If Ning Yu can defeat Yen Hao in 5 moves, then you will give me your intrinsic flying sword. If Ning Yu cannot defeat Yen Hao in 5 moves, then I will give you my intrinsic flying sword. Deal, just you wait. Before the last martial artist could finish his sentence, his mouth was slightly agape, and his face was filled with shock. This was because he realized that Ning Yu's fist had landed on Yen Hao's chest and sent him flying. Gulp! The sudden change caused the last cultivator to swallow a mouthful of saliva. Was he too stupid, or was the world too crazy? 1 move. Ning Yu only used 1 move to defeat Yen Hao. In fact, looking at Ning Yu's current state, it was estimated that he did not even use 10% of his strength and easily defeated Yen Hao. Give it to me. Another martial artist's words rang in the ears of the last martial artist. Here you go. Since he was willing to bet, he must be willing to lose. The last martial artist could only obediently throw his intrinsic flying sword to another martial artist. When he threw the intrinsic flying sword, the last martial artist's heart was bleeding. In order to get that intrinsic flying sword, he had wasted more than half of his savings. No way, I must win it back. Rolling his eyes, the last martial artist said in a deep voice, Mo Chang, do you dare to make another bet with me? What bet? The martial artist called Mo Chang raised his eyebrows and said, As long as you, Yang Yuming, dare, I will not back down. Okay. Let's bet whether Ning Yu can win the final championship. Yang Yuming gritted his teeth and said, If Ning Yu can win the championship, then I will listen to your orders until I enter the Immortal Court. Otherwise, you will have to listen to me. Swish. Hearing this, Mo Chang's expression changed slightly. His and Yang Yuming's identities were rather special. This time, they had left the Immortal Court together to see the world and also to watch the Broken Cliff Festival to see if they could find suitable geniuses to join their respective immortal kingdoms. Now, Yang Yuming suggested that the loser had to listen to the winner. It would be fine if they won, but if they lost, the consequences would be unimaginable. Why? You don't dare? I know you don't dare because you bet on Ning Yu's victory. It was all a blind guess, just a bit of luck. Yang Yuming smiled faintly and tried to provoke him. Since he lost his intrinsic flying sword to Mo Chang, Yang Yuming would definitely think of a way to get it back. Using Ning Yu to bet was obviously the best choice. How can I not dare? Mo Chang snorted and said, Since we are betting, let's make it big. Whoever loses will not only have to listen to the other party's orders, but also have to give Ning Yu 10,000 two-world stones. What the F***ck? Yang Yuming immediately cursed. 10,000 two-world stones? How could Mo Chang say that? Although they were all from super immortal kingdoms, it was not easy to take out 10,000 two-world stones. Furthermore, they did not bring many things with them when they left the Immortal Court this time. If they wanted to gather 10,000 two-world stones, they would probably be penniless. Why, you don't dare. I know you don't dare because you know that Ning Yu will win, so... Seeing Yang Yuming's actions, Mo Chang smiled faintly. His tone was exactly the same as Yang Yuming's. All right, I'll bet with you. Yang Yuming said coldly in a fit of anger, I don't believe that Ning Yu can clinch the final championship. Betting on him will be the stupidest decision you have made in your life. Not necessarily, Mo Chang said calmly. Actually, Mo Chang's choice to bet on Ning Yu was not groundless. He had done his research beforehand. The strongest of the 5 martial artists from Broken Cliff City who participated in the Broken Cliff meeting was only a 3rd or 4th stage half-step Immortal King. With the strength that Ningyu had displayed, he could easily win even against a 3rd stage half-step Immortal King. As long as Ningyu had a trump card, as long as he gave Ningyu some trump cards, then Ningyu would definitely win. The more he thought about it, the more Emo-chang felt that this was a good idea. By giving Ningyu a trump card and helping Ningyu obtain victory, not only would he be able to win the bet with Yang Yuming, he would also be able to rope in a peerless genius for his immortal empire. Killing 2 birds with 1 stone, no matter how Emo-chang thought about it, he felt that he had profited greatly. Emo-chang could not help but look at Ningyu and laugh. Is there a problem with this person? Ningyu's perception was very strong. Emo-chang's silly smile was completely seen by him. If Emo-chang was a girl, it would be fine, but Emo-chang was a guy. Think about it. After you won the battle, a young man would smile at you. Just thinking about it made his scalp go numb. Do you want to win the championship? Suddenly, a subtle voice transmission rang in Ningyu's ears. Without a doubt, the one who asked this question was Emo-chang. What do you mean? Chapter 2386. Breaking ribs, of course. Emo-chang revealed a matter-of-fact expression. He was from a super immortal country. With his identity and status, helping Ningyu win the championship was a piece of cake. What do I need to do? Ningyu asked without batting an eyelid. There was no free lunch in this world. Ningyu was clear about this. Emo-chang wouldn't help him for no reason, just like how Tai Muqiang wouldn't give him the 2-world stone for no reason. Since Emo-chang was willing to help him win the championship, it meant that Emo-chang wanted something from him. Let's not talk about this for now. After you enter the Immortal Court, someone will contact you. Emo-chang waved his hand and said casually, I'll tell you a piece of news in advance. Among the 5 cultivators in Broken Cliff City, the strongest one is around the 4th stage half-step Immortal King. Sorry, I can still win the championship without you, Ningyu said indifferently. Towards people like Emo-chang, Ningyu's idea was to avoid contact as much as possible. Ningyu liked to ask for anything directly, just like Lin Lang. If he didn't even know what he needed to pay in the end, then what was the point of doing it? Are you sure? Emo-chang wasn't angry at Ningyu's attitude and said, To tell you the truth, those people in Broken Cliff City also have trump cards. If they use them, their combined strength is even comparable to a 5th stage half-step Immortal King expert. What does that have to do with me? Ningyu said calmly. He had already made up his mind. Unless Emo-chang revealed his true intentions, he wouldn't talk too much with Emo-chang. Damn it! Seeing Ningyu's stubbornness, Emo-chang cursed in his heart. However, in order to win the bet with Yang Yuming, Emo-chang could only choose to endure and not clash with Ningyu for the time being. Taking a deep breath, Emo-chang decided to wait and see. If Ningyu could win the championship, he wouldn't need to do anything to beat Yang Yuming. If Ningyu could not win the championship, he would help Ningyu at the critical moment. Whether Ningyu agreed or not, he would help. Rumble. While Emo-chang was thinking of countermeasures, the battle on the other side had already reached its climax. The 5 martial artists who won the first round were South City's Liu Kan, North City's Liu Yong, North City's top student Li, West City's Ningyu, and West City's Zhou Zhe. Among them, the 2 martial artists from Oriental City, Xie Yun and Yen Hao, were both eliminated. Swish, 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 swish. The first round of battles ended, and the second round of battles soon began. Compared to the first round, the 10 martial artists in the second round were obviously weaker. It was obvious. The battle between experts would end very quickly. On the other hand, it would take longer for the weaker ones to fight. In the first round, Ning Yu and the others used less than 10 minutes to finish all the matches and select the 5 final victors. The second round took a full half an hour. However, the difference between the martial artists who won the second round and Ning Yu and the others was especially large. In the third round of battles, they were all eliminated, with the exception of 5. At this point, after 3 rounds of selections, the 5 final victors were Liu Can, Lu Yong, top student Li, Ning Yu, and Zhou Zhe. Swoosh! Seeing the results, Xiao Duanya's figure flashed, and he flew to the sky above the plaza. Cough cough. First, he cleared his throat. Then, Xiao Duanya said in a clear voice, I don't want to say any more nonsense. The rules of the next round might be changed. Originally, I was very confident in the martial artists chosen from the 4 major cities. But now, it seems that you have disappointed me greatly. As he spoke, Xiao Duanya's gaze swept across Ning Yu and the others. Being stared at by Xiao Duanya, Liu Can, Lu Yong, top student Li, and Zhou Zhe all lowered their heads, not daring to meet Xiao Duanya's eyes. However, Ning Yu was fearless. He directly chose to meet Xiao Duanya's gaze. Ning Yu's action caused Xiao Duanya to be slightly surprised. He raised his eyebrows, and began to size up Ning Yu with interest. After looking carefully for a while, Xiao Duanya withdrew his gaze and continued, Broken Cliff City will send a martial artist to guard the arena. Next, the 5 of you will go up the arena and fight with him. The winner will enter the next round, and the loser will be directly eliminated. Whoosh! Just as Xiao Duanya finished speaking, a young woman dressed in purple jumped onto the arena. A woman? Liu Can's mouth opened and he said, I, Liu Can, do not hit women. Making me fight with her is obviously an insult to me. Humph. On the arena, the woman dressed in purple snorted coldly and said in a deep voice, You, Liu Can, are a level 1 half-step celestial king. You have once fought and killed a level 2 half-step celestial king demonic beast in the celestial court. Preliminary judgment, your overall strength is around 2.5 half-step celestial king. Oh, you seem to know me quite well. The corner of Liu Can's mouth curled up. Cut the crap. For trash like you, I will only need to use 30% of my strength at most, and I will be able to easily kill you. The woman dressed in purple said coldly. Whoosh! Liu Can's expression changed slightly. He represented the South City, not himself. Now that the woman dressed in purple embarrassed him in front of so many people, his expression became very ugly. Then let's see who's the real deal. Liu Can stomped his feet on the ground, and directly jumped onto the arena. Southern City's Liu Can, please advise me. Liu Can cupped his fists, and said to the woman dressed in purple. No problem. The violet-clothed young woman replied, and then her figure flashed as she charged directly towards Liu Can. Whoosh! The woman dressed in purple was very fast, so fast that she only used 0.1 seconds to reach Liu Can's side. Taking advantage of Liu Can's unpreparedness, the woman dressed in purple punched Liu Can's chest with a violent gust of wind. Bang! At this critical moment, Liu Can wanted to dodge, but it was obviously too late. The enormous force that came from his chest caused Liu Can's body to fly out, and he fell heavily on the ground. Dark red blood sprayed out from his mouth. Liu Can's face alternated between green and white. In short, it was very beautiful. As the only remaining seedling of Southern City, his defeat meant that Southern City's entire team was annihilated. One had to know. In the previous Broken Cliff Grand Meet, the South City had seized the first place. Who's the second? The woman dressed in purple did not care about the changes in Liu Can's expression. Her eyes swept past Ning Yu, Lu Yong, and the others, revealing a provocative expression. Arrogant! Lu Yong shouted in a low voice, and then he leaped onto the arena. Northern City's Lu Yong, please advise me. You can't do it. Step down voluntarily, and I can let you keep your ribs intact. The woman dressed in purple shook her head slowly and said indifferently, Compared to that trash, Liu Can, your strength is still slightly weaker. Kill. Being ridiculed by the woman dressed in purple, Liu Yong flew into a rage. He immediately charged out, raised his right leg, and kicked at the woman dressed in purple. Crack. The facts proved that the woman dressed in purple didn't lie. She dodged Liu Yong to the side, and then her right hand clenched into a fist and punched out, and it just happened to hit Liu Yong's chest. Chapter 2387. Overconfident. Can't even withstand a single blow. The lady in purple glanced at Liu Yong casually and then shifted her gaze to the second martial artist from North City, Li the straight-A student. Relatively speaking, Li the straight-A student was much stronger than Liu Yong. Although they were both half-step immortal kings, anyone with a discerning eye could see that even two Liu Yongs would not be a match for straight-A student. At this time, the lady in purple noticed straight-A student. She stared at straight-A student and said lightly, "Your strength is not bad. You should be able to take 3 moves from me." "I think I can take 5 moves from you." Li the straight-A student leaped onto the arena. 5 moves? Haha, that depends on whether you have the ability or not. The lady in purple's face turned cold. Her figure flashed and she charged at straight-A student. Compared to when she was dealing with Liu Can and Liu Yong, the lady in purple's expression was obviously more serious. She said that she could defeat straight-A student in 3 moves, but in reality, she might not even be able to defeat him in 10 moves. Rumble. In an instant, the lady in purple and straight-A student were engaged in a fierce battle. Judging from the process of the battle, no one had the upper hand. If the battle continued like this, it would probably take 3 hours for the battle to end. "I thought you were strong. It turns out that you're just a waxhead with a silver spear." After the 3 moves, the lady in purple curled her lips, then clenched her right fist and punched straight at straight-A student's head. Simple and violent. The lady in purple didn't want to waste too much time on straight-A student. As a person from Broken Cliff City, she had high standards for herself. 1 against 5. She wanted to successfully defend the arena alone and eliminate the martial artists selected from the 4 major cities. However, the ideal was plentiful, but the reality was harsh. Before the lady in purple's fist hit straight-A student's head, he disappeared into the void. The next moment, Brainiac Li appeared behind the purple-clothed lady and punched her back. Bang! Li the straight-A student didn't use his full strength in this punch. The punch with 80% of his strength blasted the lady out of the arena. Below the arena, the lady in purple was livid with anger. She could have used her powerful immortal chi to tangle with straight-A student. Unexpectedly, while she was unprepared, Scholarly suddenly entered the void and appeared behind her. Unfortunately, she couldn't complete a string of 5, and could only string 2. "Thank you for letting me win." Li cupped his fists at the purple-clothed woman below the stage and said, "It was purely a coincidence that I could defeat you. If we really had a life-and-death battle, I might not be able to defeat you." "Humph. It's good that you know." The purple-robed woman snorted coldly and left the plaza. Whoosh! As soon as the purple-robed woman left, the second martialist from Broken Cliff City jumped into the arena. Broken Cliff City, Liu Bin. The cultivator from Broken Cliff City looked at Li Xueba coldly and said, "I only need 1 move to defeat you." As soon as the word summon was uttered, Liu Bin's figure moved before Li Ba could react. In an instant, he appeared beside Li Ba. There was nothing fancy about it. Liu Bin lifted his right leg and kicked Blood Tyrant hard. For some unknown reason, LV Bin was especially meticulous in dealing with Li the top student. Not to mention a first-stage half-step to Celestial King, even a real second-stage or third-stage half-step to Celestial King would be defeated by this kick of his. Crack! Li Xueba's strength was not particularly strong. Naturally, he would not gain any advantage from Liu Bin's kick. Accompanied by a cracking sound, Several of Li Xueba's ribs were directly broken. His Sun Hadao gasped when he saw Li Xueba's miserable state in the arena. When you meet Lu Bin later, you'd better surrender obediently. Son, he looked at Zhou Zhe next to him and reminded him. Why? Zhou Zhe was puzzled. Rolling his eyes, son, he said, Lu Bin is pursuing that purple-robed woman just now. I can't believe it. Zhou Zhe swore on the spot. With this relationship, it was already a blessing that Li Xueba only had a few of his ribs broken. Both of you, come at me together. I'm in a hurry. Zhou Zhe was thinking about how to admit defeat when he heard Lu Bin's urging voice in his ear. After that, Lu Bin also shifted his gaze to the outside of Broken Cliff City, where the purple-robed woman had left. I admit defeat. Zhou Zhe was not that kind of stupid person. Even someone as strong as Li Xueba had been easily defeated. What was the difference between him going up and courting death? Therefore, before he got on the arena, he directly admitted defeat, lest his ribs were broken later. What about you? Seeing Zhou Zhe admit defeat, Lu Bin shifted his gaze to Ning Yu and said impatiently, If you don't admit defeat, hurry up and come up here. If you admit defeat, don't waste time. Why should I admit defeat? Ning Yu looked at Lu Bin with interest and said, If you were a 5th-stage half-step Immortal King, maybe I would consider it, but you are only a 1st-stage half-step Immortal King, and your cultivation is only a little higher than mine. I don't need to use my full strength to deal with you. Arrogant. Lu Bin flew into a rage. His eyes were about to split open, and he said angrily, Come up here and see if I won't beat you until you look for your teeth on the ground. So what if I come up? What's the big deal? Ning Yu twitched his mouth, then leaped up and jumped into the arena. Swish. As soon as Ning Yu got into the arena, Lu Bin immediately rushed out, clenched his right hand into a fist, and punched towards Ning Yu's head. What Ning Yu said just now had obviously angered Lu Bin. In order to make Ning Yu suffer a little, Lu Bin did not hold back at all in this punch. He did not hesitate to use his trump card to strengthen the power of this punch. A 3rd-stage half-step Immortal King level attack? Looking at Lu Bin, who was constantly approaching him, Ning Yu's expression was slightly solemn. His current strength was around a 3rd-stage half-step Immortal King. With the Immortal King armor, he could defeat a 3rd-stage half-step Immortal King. To put it simply, he could defeat Lu Bin, but he needed to use the Immortal King armor. Forget it, the Immortal King armor is not a trump card anyway. He did not think too much. Ning Yu took a step forward, and decided to rely on the Immortal King armor to take Lu Bin's punch head-on. You overestimate yourself. Ning Yu's action obviously made Lu Bin very angry. He shouted in a low voice, I will let you know what real power is. Bang! In the time it takes for a spark to fly off a flint, Lu Bin's fist blasted on Ning Yu's chest. That kind of expected thing did not happen. On the contrary, Ning Yu even smiled at him. Not good. Lu Bin was indeed a peerless genius. He quickly reacted and hurriedly chose to retreat. But it was obviously too late for Lu Bin to think of retreating at this time. He had just taken a few steps back, and Ning Yu's fist had flooded onto his chest. The huge force directly sent Lu Bin flying out, and he fell heavily to the ground. Poochie! Blood spurted out of his mouth. Lu Bin's face became extremely ugly, and it was burning. Shameful! So shameful! Before Ning Yu went up to the stage, he mocked him in every way possible. In the end, he could not even take one move. Swish! The remaining 3 martial artists in Broken Cliff City also changed their expressions slightly. Chapter 2388. Swallowing Twice. Interesting. The city lord of Broken Cliff City, Xiao Duanya, was slightly surprised to see Ning Yu defeat Lu Bin so easily. At this moment, he knew that he had underestimated Ning Yu. Although Lu Bin's strength was not the top among the 5 martial artists in Broken Cliff City, The power of the move that Lu Bin displayed just now was not weak. Ningyu could defeat Lu Bin easily, which was enough to show that he was extremely powerful. Swoosh! Just as Lu Bin was defeated, a lady in her 20s jumped onto the arena from Broken Cliff City. Zhang Wen, please advise me. As Lu Bin was defeated by Ningyu, Zhang Wen did not show any arrogant actions. Instead, she cupped her fists and said to Ningyu, I don't dare to advise you. Ningyu said faintly, it's just learning from each other. Although Ningyu's expression was calm, he was actually extremely shocked. Zhang Wen's cultivation was the same as Lu Bin, a grade 1 half-step immortal king. However, the pressure that Zhang Wen gave him was even stronger. In other words, 2 Lu Bins might not be a match for 1 Zhang Wen. His eyes swept across the remaining 2 martial artists from Broken Cliff City. Ningyu's face became extremely solemn. Zhang Wen was not the strongest martial artist in Broken Cliff City. At least, the remaining 2 martial artists were more terrifying than Zhang Wen. Take this. As Ningyu was thinking, Zhang Wen stepped on the ground and rushed out. Swoosh! Zhang Wen's speed was very fast. Almost in an instant, she came in front of Ningyu. A fist that contained terrifying energy blasted out and blasted straight at Ningyu's chest. What was different from Lu Bin was that Lu Bin used all his strength, but Zhang Wen only used 50% of her strength in this punch. It seemed that Zhang Wen was testing Ningyu. Bang! Since Zhang Wen chose to test him, Ningyu also chose to cooperate with her. Anyway, his real target was the remaining 2 people, not Zhang Wen. If he exposed too many of his trump cards during the fierce battle with Zhang Wen, it would obviously be a bit irrational. The 2 fists collided. Ningyu and Zhang Wen were sent flying backward. Judging from the distance they flew back, Ningyu and Zhang Wen were evenly matched. Because they had all retreated to the edge of the arena. He could tell. If anyone used even a little more strength, the other party would fall off the stage. You have such a good grasp of strength? Zhang Wen was shocked. She knew that Ningyu had not used his full strength. Originally, she was prepared to increase her strength to prevent Ningyu from blasting her off the stage. Who would have thought? Ningyu's control of strength was just right. He only pushed her back to the edge of the ring and didn't blast her off the ring. I'm no match for him. Just through this move, Zhang Wen concluded that she was no match for Ningyu. Humph. Even if I'm not as good as you, I will force you to use your full strength. Zhang Wen snorted and immediately gathered all the energy in her body into her fist. Then, she threw a backhand punch. Compared to the previous punch, the power of Zhang Wen's punch had reached 100%. A punch with 100% strength was extremely powerful. Chi chi chi. Even the void began to tremble. Do you need my help? At the critical moment, Emo Chang's voice rang in Ningyu's ears. Hearing Emo Chang's words, Ningyu turned his head and shook his head slightly. Humph. Arrogant. Seeing that Ningyu didn't know how to appreciate favors, Emo Chang snorted coldly. I want to see what makes you so arrogant. Although Emo Chang said so, his wrist moved quietly, wanting to help Ningyu at the critical moment. After all, the bet between him and Yang Yuming was 10,000 two-world stones and the control of the other party. Therefore, Ningyu had to win the final championship. Otherwise, he would lose a lot of money. Bang! At this moment, Ningyu's fist collided with Zhang Wen's. The second collision didn't have that kind of earth-shattering event. This time, Ningyu and Zhang Wen both stood in the same place without moving. Time. It was as if time had stopped. What happened? Who won? You're asking me? Who should I ask? In my opinion, Zhang Wen should have won. After all, she is from Broken Cliff City and is extremely powerful. Are you saying that Ningyu is not powerful? Even someone as strong as Lu Bin was defeated by him in one move. Why are we fighting here? Let's wait and see. Anyway, they will continue to fight. Below the arena, everyone was discussing. From this move alone, Ningyu and Zhang Wen seemed to be somewhat evenly matched. However, some powerful people should be able to see which side won. I lost. Not long after. On the arena, Zhang Wen took a step back and said with a face full of unwillingness, "You are very powerful, but if you only have this little strength, then the final championship will definitely not be with you." Thank you for reminding me. Ningyu cupped his fists at Zhang Wen to express his gratitude. Actually, even without Zhang Wen's reminder, Ningyu also knew that it would be very difficult to win the final championship. Although his strength was not weak, the remaining two people from Broken Cliff City were the real terror. Even from one of them, Ningyu felt the pressure from Lu Zhanfei and Wu Xiong. And Lu Zhanfei and Wu Xiong were level 5 and 4 half-step Immortal King. In other words, at least one of the remaining two martial artists from Broken Cliff City was comparable to a level 5 half-step Immortal King. Enter the top 3, the reward is a leveling pill. Zhang Wen had just jumped off the arena when Xiao Duanya flicked his wrist and threw an elixir to Ningyu. But Ningyu's face lit up and he quickly reached out to catch it. Giving him a leveling pill at this time was really like sending charcoal in the snow. Generally speaking, according to the different strength of a martial artist's body, one could take at most 3 leveling pills. However, only those whose body was extremely strong, reaching the strength of an immortal king, could take 3 leveling pills. Otherwise, 2 was already the limit. Any more would probably cause one's body to explode. Crack. After taking the leveling pill, Ningyu examined it for a while, then threw it into his mouth and began to refine it. Boom. Boom. However, just as Ningyu began to refine the leveling pill, 2 martial artists from Broken Cliff City in the distance emitted a terrifying aura. Second-level half-step Immortal King. Xiao Duanya tacitly allowed Ningyu to obtain the leveling pill, and they could improve their cultivation. Therefore, Ningyu took the leveling pill to break through to the first-level half-step Immortal King, while they could easily advance to the second-level half-step Immortal King. Forget it, refine it for me. Ningyu shook his head and got rid of the distracting thoughts in his mind. He operated the technique to the extreme and tried his best to refine the leveling pill. Compared to the first time, refining the leveling pill for the second time was much more difficult. Bear with it. The pain coming from all the bones in his body caused Ningyu's expression to become a little distorted. What's going on? Xiao Duanya stared at Ningyu, feeling a little puzzled. Logically, taking the leveling pill for the first time would not make such a painful expression. Chapter 2389. A Madman. The more he thought about it, the more Xiao Duanya felt that it was possible. After all, it was his first time consuming a leveling pill, and it was extremely secretive. Even a celestial king would have a hard time discovering it. From Ningyu's current expression, he could almost conclude that Ningyu had definitely consumed a leveling pill before, and it was the kind that had been consumed not too long ago, at most a few hours ago. Because it was only at this time that it would be so difficult for him to consume a second leveling pill. Boom. Ningyu did not know what Xiao Duanya was thinking. To him, it was most important to raise his cultivation to a first-grade half-step celestial king as soon as possible. Xiao Duanya had rewarded him with a leveling pill for entering the top 3 of the cliff gathering. It was conceivable that once he became the champion, he would receive a lot of rewards. It was even possible that he could directly raise his cultivation to the 5th-grade half-step celestial king realm. Of course, Ningyu would not think about these things for the time being. He circulated his techniques and began to do his best to seek a breakthrough. Chi. As time passed, the aura on Ningyu's body began to slowly strengthen. All the martial artists in the cliff square turned their gazes to Ningyu. Leveling pill. The pill that Ningyu had consumed was the leveling pill that they dreamed of. Envy, jealousy, vexation, all kinds of emotions appeared on their faces. the leveling pill was priceless. Unless there was a celestial king in the family, it was as difficult as ascending to heaven to obtain a leveling pill. Drip, drip. Time was ticking away. In the blink of an eye, more than 10 minutes had passed. Boom. Suddenly, a terrifying aura emanated from Ning Yu's body. This aura only emanated for an instant before it was retracted into Ning Yu's body. First-grade half-step Celestial King? Although Ning Yu hid very quickly, he was still discovered by the crowd. However, the aura that Ning Yu emanated was only equivalent to a first-grade half-step Celestial King. This made the crowd very puzzled. Swoosh. Just as the crowd was puzzled, a young man from the Cliff Square leaped onto the arena. Broken Cliff City, Lei Ming, please guide me. As soon as Ning Yu advanced to the first stage of half-step Immortal King Realm, a warrior of Broken Cliff City jumped onto the arena and cupped his fists towards Ning Yu. If Ning Yu was still a peak stage half-step Immortal King, Lei Ming might not take it to heart. After all, he was a second-stage half-step Immortal King, so dealing with Ning Yu, who was at the peak of the half-step Immortal King realm, didn't require too much effort at all. However, Ning Yu had advanced to the first stage of the half-step Celestial King realm. For geniuses, every increase in level was a qualitative breakthrough. Even though Ning Yu had only advanced from the peak of the half-step Immortal King realm to the first level of the half-step Immortal King realm, Lei Ming was sure that Ning Yu's strength had increased by at least a few times. Therefore, Lei Ming did not dare to be careless when fighting against Ning Yu. You are very strong. Ning Yu looked at Lei Ming and said in a deep voice, I should have gained something from fighting with you. Take this. Lei Ming did not choose to waste his breath. He immediately rushed out and punched at Ning Yu's head. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. As he moved forward, Lei Ming's fist light split into 3 and attacked Ning Yu's head from 3 different directions. The one in the middle is real. With a thought, Ning Yu was able to instantly determine that the fist in the middle was the real one. As for the other 2, they were from the Su clan. As such, they were not very powerful. After determining that the fist light in the middle was real, Ning Yu gathered all the energy in his body on his fist, and charged at the fist light in the middle. Bang! Bang! However, the speed of the fist light on both sides was clearly much faster. Before Ning Yu could come into contact with the fist light in the middle, he was hit by the fist light on both sides. Fortunately, at the critical moment, Ning Yu slightly dodged to the side to avoid being hit in the head. Otherwise, even if the fist light was very weak, it would be enough to injure him. Bang! Enduring the pain of being hit by the 2 fist lights, Ning Yu's fist collided with the fist light in the middle. Gasp! This punch! Ning Yu sucked in a breath of cold air. Lei Ming was indeed a super expert of Broken Cliff City. His cultivation base was second stage half-step Celestial King. His actual combat strength was at least 4th stage half-step Celestial King. Ning Yu initially thought that after advancing to first stage half-step Celestial King, he could easily win the championship. Now, it seemed that he might have thought too much. When Ning Yu was at the peak of half-step Celestial King, without using the Black Pearl and Golden Token, his overall strength was around 3/5 stage half-step Celestial King. Now that he had advanced to first stage half-step Celestial King, his strength had improved a lot. Even if he encountered a 4th stage half-step Celestial King, he could easily kill him. If he encountered a 5th stage half-step Celestial King, he could also put up a fight. You dare to be distracted while fighting me? That's not very good. Just as Ning Yu was in a daze, Lei Ming's words suddenly rang in his ears. Then, Lei Ming shouted and said in a deep voice, Scorpion King Fist. Rumble! As Lei Ming shouted, a loud voice rang out. A fist light in the shape of a scorpion descended from the sky and attacked Ning Yu fiercely. Celestial King level combat skill. In the distance, everyone was shocked when they saw Lei Ming use the Scorpion King Fist. combat skills were divided into Lord of Heaven level, Celestial King level, Quasi-Emperor level, and Great Emperor level. The Scorpion King Fist that Lei Ming used was in Celestial King level combat skill. Although it was only at the early stage Celestial King level, its power was extremely terrifying. 4th stage half-step Celestial King level. In other words, the power of Lei Ming's fist light had reached 5-stage half-step Celestial King level. Celestial King armor. Ningyu was not a fool. He hurriedly activated the Celestial King armor on his body to block the attack of the Scorpion King fist. Crack, crack, crack. However, Ningyu had obviously underestimated the power of the Scorpion King fist. The Scorpion King fist was a Celestial King level combat skill. After being hit by it, the Celestial King armor on Ningyu's body immediately shattered. Puff! The Celestial King armor shattered. Ningyu was sent flying by the huge force. Fortunately, Ningyu stabilized his body at the critical moment. Otherwise, this attack alone would be enough to blast him out of the arena. Huh! Lei Ming was slightly surprised to see that Ningyu was not blasted out of the arena. In order to use the Scorpion King fist, he used 100% of his strength and went all out. To put it simply, if this move could not defeat Ningyu, he would have no choice but to leave the arena. After stabilizing his body, Ningyu looked at Lei Ming and said in a low voice, "You are very, I admit defeat." However, before Ningyu could finish his words, Lei Ming raised his hand and said, "I hope you can win against the madman." While speaking, Lei Ming leaped out of the arena. What's going on? Lei Ming's action made Ningyu a little confused. He only blocked one attack from Lei Ming. Why did Lei Ming take the initiative to admit defeat? Swish. At this time. Chapter 2390. Chapter 2390. Chapter 2390. Changing the bet. Ningyu didn't say anything. Instead, he stood on the stage and started to size up this martial artist who was called Madman. He wasn't too tall and was about 2 years older than him. He wore a gray robe and had a delicate and handsome appearance. Just from the external characteristics of this martial artist, Ningyu couldn't imagine why he was called Madman. Bad taste. Ningyu frowned slightly. To be called Madman, he must be weird in some aspects. He might be crazy, arrogant, or have some special hobbies. Obviously, Ningyu thought that the reason why this martial artist was called Madman was because he had some special hobbies. If Madman knew what Ningyu was thinking at this moment, he would probably go crazy. He was called a madman, not because he had any special hobbies, but because he did not show any mercy when fighting, and every move he made was ruthless. Who cares, let's rest for 10 minutes first. Ningyu didn't think too much about the origin of the title Madman. He took out an elixir and threw it into his mouth and started to rest. Although the battle with Lei Ming didn't consume much energy, Ningyu definitely wouldn't waste time if he had time to rest. After all, Madman wasn't simple since Lei Ming respected him so much. Tick. Time passed. In the blink of an eye, 10 minutes had passed. Swish. Madman's sense of time was very strong. 10 minutes had just passed and he immediately jumped up and rushed out at a terrifying speed. Madman was originally 4 to 5 meters away from Ningyu, but in an instant, he appeared in front of Ningyu. Bang! Ningyu didn't dare to be careless and quickly punched out with his right fist. 2 fists collided. Ningyu and Madman took a few steps back at the same time. This move. Ningyu and Madman were evenly matched and no one had an advantage. Let's not waste time. The Madman took a deep breath and stared fixedly at Ningyu. He said in a low voice, "Let's decide the victor in one move." One move to decide the victor? Ningyu raised his brows and looked at Madman with interest. Generally speaking, 80% of those who wanted to use one move to decide the outcome of the battle had some kind of ultimate move that could burst forth with a powerful attack. Could it be that he has some trump card? Thinking of this, Ningyu's expression became a little solemn. To be able to be the last martial artist of Broken Cliff City, it was enough to show how terrifying Madman was. What, you don't want to? Seeing the change in Ning Yu's expression, the madman took a step forward and said coldly, I knew it would be like this. Fine, I won't force you. Take this. As soon as he finished speaking, the madman stomped on the ground and dashed forward. On the surface, Madman seemed to be moving very slowly. In fact, that was not the case. Almost in an instant, the madman arrived in front of Ning Yu. His fist carried a violent gale of energy as it ruthlessly smashed towards Ning Yu's head. F***ck. Ning Yu couldn't help but curse at the madman's unconventional moves. Without much time to think, Ning Yu immediately gathered the energy in his body into his fist and made an intimate contact with the madman's fist. Bang! With this crisp sound, Ning Yu and the madman immediately took a few steps back until they reached the edge of the arena. Only then did they stabilize themselves. Evenly matched. Once again, Ning Yu and the madman were evenly matched. Ning Yu is actually so strong? Exactly. The madman is known as one of the top 5 peerless experts in Broken Cliff City. Although his cultivation base is only at the 2nd stage half-step Immortal King realm, he can even kill a real 5th stage half-step Immortal King. In my opinion, Ning Yu should be a trump card cultivated by the Western Venerable. That's possible. After all, Western City was ranked last in the previous Broken Cliff meet. If they're ranked last again this time, the Western Venerable One will probably be scolded to death by the Broken Cliff Venerable One. The cultivators of Broken Cliff City were in a heated discussion. The cultivators of the other 4 major cities were also shocked and in disbelief. They originally thought that Ning Yu being able to enter the top 3 was already a blessing from his previous life. Who would have thought that Ning Yu would force Lei Ming to admit defeat with a single move? Now, he was even with the madman? Perhaps Ning Yu could really win the championship in the end. Yang Yuming, prepare 10,000 two-realm stones. When Ning Yu defeats the madman, you have to fulfill your promise immediately. The most excited person wasn't the people of Western City, but Emo Chang from the Super Celestial Nation. After all, Emo Chang had made a bet with Yang Yuming. As long as Ning Yu won the championship, Yang Yuming would listen to his orders. He would also give 10,000 two-realm stones to Ning Yu. That being said, Emo Chang wasn't interested in the 10,000 two-realm stones. He was more interested in controlling Yang Yuming. After all, Yang Yuming came from the Super Celestial Nation too. Most importantly, Yang Yuming had a lot of resources in his hands. These resources were very useful to him. Humph, the battle between Ning Yu and the madman hasn't ended yet. Isn't it too early for you to tell me this? Yang Yuming wasn't a pushover either. He harumphed coldly and said in a deep voice, to tell you the truth, the madman has made a name for himself in Broken Cliff City. His strength isn't limited to this. It was as if he was trying to prove Yang Yuming's words. Bang! On the ring. A terrifying aura soared into the sky. Bang! 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 3 dull thuds took place in a row. Whoosh! Upon hearing the 3 dull thuds, all the martial artists on the Broken Cliff Square widened their eyes. Their faces were filled with disbelief. 5th stage half-step Celestial King realm. The madman had a breakthrough in the middle of the battle, and he had directly broken through to the 5th stage half-step Celestial King realm. This, in the square. Emo Chang's face turned extremely ugly when he sensed the terrifying aura emitting from the madman. Just now, he was very optimistic that Ning Yu would win. But now, he could basically conclude that Ning Yu would definitely lose. Because Ning Yu was only a 1st stage half-step Celestial King realm. No matter how strong he was, he couldn't possibly be a match for the madman who was a 5th stage half-step Celestial King realm. If Ning Yu had a trump card, the madman definitely had one too. Yang Yuming, how about we discuss something? Emo Chang moved closer to Yang Yuming and said, the bet between us is cancelled. In addition, I'll compensate you with 10,000 two-realm stones. Swoosh. While they were talking, Emo Chang took out a spatial ring from his pocket. He shook it and said, "There are 10,000 two-realm stones in here. As long as you agree, I'll give it to you immediately." 10,000 two-realm stones? The corner of Yang Yiming's mouth curled up. Too little? Seeing Yang Yiming's expression, Emo Chang clenched his teeth and took out another spatial ring. He said, 20,000 two-realm stones. As long as you agree to cancel the bet, I'll give you 20,000 two-realm stones. From now on, I'll turn around and leave when I see you. I won't be a hindrance to you. Chapter 2391. Chapter 2391. Chapter 2391 Discuss, Hearing Yang Yiming's words, Emo Chang was shocked. He really couldn't understand. Why would Yang Yiming make such a stupid request? One had to know. Ever since the madman advanced to the 5th stage half-step Immortal King, no matter how he looked at it, Ningyu was bound to lose and had no chance of winning. However, Emo Chang kept an eye out. There must be something fishy about this. Since Yang Yiming dared to bet on Ningyu, it meant that Ningyu's strength was not as simple as it seemed on the surface. You only have 3 seconds to consider. Yang Yiming stretched out 3 fingers and said indifferently, 1, 2, I choose to exchange. Before Yang Yiming said 3, Emo Chang said in a deep voice, I don't believe that Ningyu can win the final championship. Oh right. Yang Yiming patted his head and said, there is a condition for us to exchange. You have to give me 20,000 two-realm stones. That's impossible. Emo Chang refused almost without thinking. What a joke. Even if he chose to exchange, it was not 100% certain that he would win. If he failed, wouldn't he have to pay an additional 20,000 two-realm stones? Forget it if you are unwilling. Let's go according to the previous bet. If Ningyu wins the championship, I will listen to your orders if... Yang Yiming shrugged, indicating that he didn't care. You! Emo Chang was so angry that his nose was crooked. Yang Yiming was determined to get the better of him and force him to take out 20,000 two-realm stones. Taking a deep breath, Emo Chang forced himself to calm down. After thinking for a while, Emo Chang said, Okay, I am willing to give you 20,000 two-realm stones, but if you lose, you have to return it to me. Of course. Yang Yiming said indifferently. Swish. After getting Yang Yiming's confirmation, Emo Chang flicked his wrist and threw out the spatial ring. Pa. Yang Yiming reacted quickly and caught the 2 interspatial rings firmly. Admit defeat. At the same time, on the arena, Madman looked coldly at Ningyu and said in a deep voice, You who is only at the first level of the half-step Immortal King realm isn't a match for me at all. If we don't fight, who will know? Ningyu's expression was solemn as he said, Breaking through at the last moment might look impressive, but it's not. If I'm not wrong, the aura in your body hasn't completely stabilized yet. At this time, your overall combat strength isn't at its peak. I might be able to defeat you. Arrogant. The madman was furious. His purpose of advancing to the 5th stage half-step Immortal King realm was to scare Ningyu out of his wits and make Ningyu admit defeat. Now, it seemed that this plan had obviously fallen through. In fact, Ningyu was right. He had broken through several levels in a row and urgently needed time to stabilize his cultivation instead of continuing to fight. Under such circumstances, he could not display his peak combat strength. Take my fist, Raging Dragon goes to sea. Madman bellowed and rushed towards Ningyu at full speed. Another Immortal King level combat skill? Ningyu's expression was slightly solemn. It was the same as Lei Ming's Scorpion King Fist. Madman's Raging Dragon goes to sea was also an Immortal King level combat skill. However, compared to the Scorpion King Fist, the power of Raging Dragon goes to sea was obviously much stronger. Black Bead. Looking at the madman who was constantly rushing towards him, Ningyu injected the energy in his body into the black bead and immediately chose to detonate it. Madman was a 5th stage half-step Immortal King. Combined with Raging Dragon Goes to Sea, the power of this move was enough to kill an ordinary 5th stage half-step Immortal King. Ningyu did not want to use his physical strength to test the power of Raging Dragon Goes to Sea. The black bead was the trump card that Venerable Dongfang gave to Qianbo. At that time, Qianbo did not have time to use it, and it eventually fell into the hands of Ningyu. Now, Ningyu did not care so much. Without using the black bead, he had to face the Raging Dragon Goes to Sea. Therefore, Ningyu had no other choice. Rumble! After injecting enough energy, Ningyu flicked his wrist and directly threw the black bead at Madman. The black bead had just flown halfway when it suddenly exploded. The terrifying shockwave rushed towards the madman at an extremely terrifying speed. Ka. It was a critical moment. Madman clenched his fists and punched continuously. These shock waves dissipated when they came into contact with Madman's fist. Although the black bead had lost its power, it successfully blocked Madman's fatal blow. Humph! I want to see whether you have more trump cards or my fists are harder. Madman snorted coldly and immediately rushed out again. F***ck the crystal. Seeing Madman rush out for the second time, Ningyu could not help but curse. Ordinary martial artists could basically only use one move of Immortal King level combat skills. Even Lei Ming was forced to admit defeat after executing a single move. Madman was good. After using Raging Dragon Goes to Sea, he actually had the energy to use a second move. It had to be said. The difference in strength between Madman and Lei Ming was very, very big. To put it simply, even 5 Lei Ming would definitely not be a match for Madman. Golden Token. Looking at Madman who was rushing towards him for the second time, Ningyu quietly hid the golden token in his cuff and quickly injected the energy in his body into it. In an instant, Ningyu's fist collided with Madman's fist. Gotcha! The moment the two fists collided, the golden token shattered and a terrifying shockwave blasted towards the madman's chest. Swish! At the critical moment, Madman hurriedly dodged to the side and barely dodged this fatal attack. Damn it! Chapter 2392. Chapter 2392. Chapter 2392. Broken Cliff Pool, tied for first place? Ningyu was slightly taken aback. To be honest, Xiao Duanya's interference was not within his expectations. After all, the madman was extremely powerful. He might really be able to perform Furious Dragon Goes to Sea for the third time. And once the madman performed Furious Dragon Goes to Sea, it was still unknown whether he could withstand it. Don't worry, I will give you all the rewards that the champion deserved. Seeing that Ningyu was a little hesitant, Xiao Duanya continued, furthermore, I will also reward you with a few promotion pills. As he spoke, Xiao Duanya flicked his wrist and took out a transparent jade bottle. There were a total of 3 pills in the jade bottle. Promotion pills. That's right, the jade bottle was filled with promotion pills. I have no objections. Ningyu would not argue with Xiao Duanya. Anyway, the final championship did not mean much to him. As long as there were rewards, everything was negotiable. Whoosh! Xiao Duanya was not a man of his word. He exerted some force in his palm and directly threw the jade bottle towards Ningyu. But Ningyu reacted quickly and caught the jade bottle firmly. Next, I announce that the champions of this year's Broken Cliff meet are Ningyu and the Madman. Xiao Duanya flew into the air and announced in a clear voice. The corner of Ningyu's mouth twitched slightly. He originally thought that he would know the madman's real name by now. Who would have thought that even Xiao Duanya would call him the madman? Ningyu madman, follow me! As Ningyu was thinking, Xiao Duanya's voice sounded in his ear. Whoosh! Whoosh! Before he could think of anything, Ningyu felt his body lighten. Then, he flew out with the madman and headed for the Broken Cliff City's city lord's residence. TSK, who would have thought that there would be two champions this time? Yeah, who would have thought that Ningyu could also become the champion? In my opinion, the madman should be the champion. Who can resist his raging dragon goes to see. You can't say that. Although the mad scientist is strong, Ningyu isn't weak either. Ningyu could vaguely hear the discussions of the people in the square. However, these discussions gradually faded into the distance and soon disappeared. Creak. Not long later, the sound of a door being pushed open rang out. Immediately after, Xiao Duanya continued, "This is the Cliff Pool. For the next 7 days, the two of you will have to cultivate in there. Strive to complete the transformation of your entire body and double your strength." Bang! After finishing this sentence, Xiao Duanya did not care about the reactions of Ningyu and Lunatic. Then, he slammed the door shut. Ningyu and the madman looked at each other, and they could see the shock in each other's eyes. It was still fine if he was a lunatic. After all, he knew Xiao Duanya's style of doing things. Very quickly, he calmed down and jumped into the cliff pool. Splash! When Ningyu saw the madman jump into the cliff pool, he was completely dumbfounded. He could feel the terrifying energy waves emitted from the pool in front of him. Cultivating in there for a day was equivalent to cultivating in the outside world for a year. However, Ningyu felt that it was a little unbelievable, because he had heard the Western Venerable and Tai Muqiang mention it before. The cliff pool was the most important place in the Cliff City. In the past, even those who had made great contributions to the Cliff City would find it difficult to enter the cliff pool to cultivate. It was said that the champion of the cliff meet could stay in there for 3 days. But now, Xiao Duanya said that he and the madman could stay in there for 7 days. Going back and forth was equivalent to an additional 11 days of cultivation time. How could Ningyu not be shocked? Splash! However, while he was shocked, Ningyu did not waste any time. With a leap, he also jumped into the cliff pond. Chi. As soon as he entered the cliff pool, there was a terrifying energy that drilled into Ningyu's body through his skin. Ningyu did not dare to be negligent. He hurriedly used his technique and started to devour the energy. Splash! Relatively speaking, the speed at which Ningyu devoured the energy was obviously much faster than the madman's. The madman devoured 1 portion, while Ningyu had to devour 2 portions, or even 3 portions. F***ck the crystals. At the side, the madman could not help but be dumbfounded when he saw the endless energy surging into Ningyu's body. In the Cliff City, the speed at which he devoured energy could be ranked in the top 5. Other than a few Immortal King-level powerhouses, he was the most terrifying. However, that was before he met Ningyu. Compared to Ningyu, he was obviously insignificant. Based on this devouring speed, it would not take long before Ningyu could easily advance to a 2nd stage half-step Immortal King. One had to know. Ningyu still had 3 ascension pills in his hands. When Ningyu advanced to a 2nd stage half-step Immortal King, wouldn't he be able to advance to a 3rd stage half-step Immortal King very quickly by swallowing the ascension pills? Gulp! Thinking of this, the madman could not help but swallow a mouthful of saliva. He was proud that his cultivation had risen fast enough. It only took him about a year to advance from a 1st stage half-step Immortal King to a 5th stage half-step Immortal King. Of course, on the arena, he instantly rose to a 5th stage half-step Immortal King because of the seal left in his body. In fact, his real cultivation had already advanced to a 5th stage half-step Immortal King long before he participated in the Cliff Grand Meeting. The speed at which Ningyu's cultivation rose had already exceeded his understanding. He could almost predict it. After 7 days, Ningyu had a high possibility of advancing to a 5th stage half-step Immortal King, the same as him. Chi. Ningyu did not know what the madman was thinking. For him, now was not the time to quarrel with the madman, but to do his best to devour the energy in the cliff pool. He had not felt so good in a long time. The energy in the cliff pool was like a bottomless pit, inexhaustible and inexhaustible. In the process of devouring the energy, Ningyu did not forget to transfer the energy to the Red Devil sword, so that the Red Devil, the Dark Emperor, Ning Lu, Water Moon Fairy, and Zhao Rui could advance to a higher realm. The Immortal Court was extremely dangerous. Ningyu could not guarantee that he could take care of the Dark Emperor and the others at all times. The cultivation of the few of them had not even reached the Lord of Heaven realm. If they could advance to the Lord of Heaven realm before going to the Immortal Court, it would save Ningyu a lot of trouble. Ka. As the energy in his body increased, the bones all over Ningyu's body made a cracking sound. Originally, Ningyu's war god body bloodline had been fully awakened, but now, with the second refinement of the energy, his war god body bloodline actually felt like it was going to upgrade. In other words, Ningyu was very likely to complete the second refinement of the war god body bloodline. There were some powerful geniuses in the Immortal Court. Their war god body bloodline had even been refined to the 5th and 6th times. It was relatively late for Ningyu to undergo the second refinement now. Swish, 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 swish. While Ningyu and the madman were working hard to absorb the energy, 5 martial artists suddenly appeared in another secret room. These 5 martial artists were none other than Xiao Duanya, the Western Venerable, the Eastern Venerable, the Northern Venerable, and the Southern Venerable. Opposite them, a huge crystal hung on the wall. Chapter 2393. Cannot afford to offend, let's see if the two of them can be of great use. Xiao Duanya pointed to the crystal wall as he spoke. There's still roughly half a month's time before the secret realm of the Soaring Sky, Immortal Empire, opens. At that time, experts from many supreme immortal empires would all be mobilized, wanting to get a share of the spoils. Do you guys feel that Ningyu and Madman would be able to guard the entrance at the very end of the secret realm? It's a little difficult. The Reverend of the South frowned slightly and said in a deep voice, Madman's cultivation base has already reached the 5th stage of the half-step Immortal King realm. Even if he devours a large amount of energy, his strength won't increase by much. That's right. You should know that those peerless geniuses from the super-immortal domains might be able to fight against a true Immortal King when they are only at the 5th stage half-step Immortal King realm. The Northern Reverend nodded. Unless Ningyu and the Madman are able to kill Immortal King level powerhouses, they'll just be sending themselves to their deaths even if they go, the Western Reverend said. 7 days later, let's find an Immortal King for them to try. Venerable Dongfang smiled and said, If I remember correctly, Ningyu killed Qianbo, and the Qian family is a great family in Dongfang City. 7 days later, the Immortal King of the Qian family will return. At that time, let Ningyu and Madman fight with the Immortal King of the Qian family first. If they win, we can naturally bring them to the secret realm. If they lose, we will find someone else. Humph! What do you mean? The Western Venerable One harumphed coldly with an unfriendly expression. Qianbo was from Oriental City. The fact that the Eastern Reverend wanted Ningyu to fight with the Qian clan's Immortal King showed that he was up to no good. Currently, Ningyu was only a first-stage half-step Immortal King. Even if his cultivation base advanced to the second-stage half-step Immortal King after 7 days, it would still be difficult for him to be a match for a true Immortal King. Nothing much. I just want to let some people know that if they do something wrong, they will have to pay the price. The Eastern Venerable One shrugged and said calmly. Venerable Dongfang had been in charge of Dongfang City for many years, and he had long been on good terms with the Qian family. The Qian family's business was his business. He had already told the Qian family's Immortal King through a secret technique that Ningyu had killed Qianbo. According to the feedback from the Qian family's immortal king, he was definitely trying his best to delay the time to enter the immortal court. There was no other reason. Once they entered the immortal court, with Xiao Duanya, the Western Reverend, and the others watching, it would be almost impossible for the Qian clan's immortal king to kill Ningyu. Stop arguing. Xiao Duanya's expression turned cold, and he berated, making such a racket, where is your manners? All of you go back and prepare first. Gather at the city governor's mansion in Steep Cliff City 7 days from now. Whoosh, whoosh. The Eastern Divine Master and the Western Divine Master glared at each other before leaving the room in a flash. As for the Venerable of the North and the Venerable of the South, they tore open the void and entered as well. How troublesome! Only when the Eastern Venerable One and the others had all left did Xiao Duanya rub his head and mumble, "If it weren't for the fact that I still have some use for you, I would have sent you all to hell long ago." Hua! After finishing this sentence, Xiao Duanya also tore open the void and tunneled in. Who? At the same time, Steep Cliff Pool. Ningyu opened his eyes and slowly exhaled a mouthful of murky air. After a few hours of devouring and refining, his current cultivation had already soared to the peak of the half-step Celestial King realm. Next, as long as he was willing, he could advance to the half-step Celestial King realm at any time. However, Ningyu was not a rash person. It was obviously an irrational action to advance to the half-step Celestial King realm at this time. Compress. Ningyu constantly compressed the energy in his body, striving to be able to easily kill a half-step Celestial King realm expert when he was still a half-step Celestial King realm expert. Ningyu had not forgotten about killing Qian Bo previously, and the Qian clan had a Celestial King expert. Ningyu was very clear about his own strength. If he wanted to contend with a Celestial King realm expert, he had to compress every level to the extreme. Otherwise, even if he advanced to the half-step Celestial King realm, he would definitely not be a match for a Celestial King expert. That was because there was a huge gap between a Celestial King and a half-step Celestial King. Chi. With the constant compression of energy, beads of sweat appeared on Ningyu's forehead. What is he doing? On the other side, when Madman saw Ningyu's action, he couldn't help but be a little surprised. Ningyu was about to advance to the half-step Celestial King realm, but Ningyu, on the other hand, was trying to compress it to the extreme. Was it so easy to reach the extreme? Moreover, even if Ningyu could do it to the extreme, it would be of no help when it came to advancing to the Celestial King realm in the future. Even in the future, when Ningyu advanced to the Celestial King realm, he would feel very regretful because of his current actions. Should I remind him? Madman's eyes turned and he was thinking secretly. After a while, Madman said to Ningyu, "You'd better not compress your energy. Otherwise, when you reach the half-step Celestial King realm, the difficulty of advancing to the Celestial King realm will be much higher than others." Thank you for reminding me. Ningyu smiled at Madman and said, "I'm different from you. I killed Qian Bo of the Qian clan, and the Qian clan is already in a situation where only one of us can survive. In Broken Cliff City, Xiao Duanya and Western Reverend are protecting me. Once I enter the Celestial Court, my end will be very miserable." Actually, you can rely on Xiao Duanya. Madman thought about it and finally said, "Previously, I killed the only grandson of the Qian clan's Celestial King realm like you. From then on, I concealed my identity and attached myself to Xiao Duanya to help him do some things." Ningyu raised his eyebrows. He didn't expect Madman's background. It turned out that Madman had offended the Qian clan just like him. The matter of Madman concealing his identity might be related to him offending the Qian clan. You can't offend the Qian clan. I know why you are compressing the energy, but I have to remind you that the Qian clan is also a colossus in the Celestial Court. Even if you can withstand the attack of the Qian clan's celestial king, you won't be able to escape misfortune after you enter the celestial court. Madman shook his head and said, Xiao Duanya comes from a super-celestial country. If you rely on him, your life will at least be guaranteed. After saying this, Madman didn't wait for Ning Yu's reply and started to absorb the energy in the broken cliff pool. Bang bang bang! A few muffled sounds came from within his body. Madman's strength was soaring at an extremely terrifying speed. The Qian clan is also a colossus in the celestial court? Ning Yu's expression was solemn. He had obtained a very important piece of information from Madman. If he wanted to completely get rid of the Qian clan, he had to advance to the Celestial King realm as soon as possible. Even if he advanced to the Celestial King realm, it might still be useless. Forget it, I'll deal with it when the time comes. Ningyu shook his head forcefully. Then, the devouring power in his body surged out and started to crazily devour the energy in the broken cliff pool. Splash! Just as Ningyu was devouring the energy. Dongfang City, Qian clan's backyard. Chapter 2394. Chapter 2394. Chapter 2394 Analysis. Congratulations on your return, Brother Qian. As soon as the white-robed old man appeared, a faint chuckle rang out. If Ningyu had been here, he would have noticed that the cultivator who had laughed was none other than the Eastern Supremacy. After leaving Steep Cliff City, the Eastern Venerable One rushed to the Qian residence in Dongfang City without stopping. Coincidentally, just as the Eastern Supremacy arrived at the Qian family, the Qian family's immortal king, Qian Kun, appeared from the void. Brother Dongfang, how have you been? Qian Kun, who was called Brother Qian, also smiled and said, Thank you, Brother Dongfang, for taking care of the Qian clan while I was away. Sigh, I'm ashamed to say it. Dongfang Venerable One sighed. It's my fault. I couldn't save Qian Bo whoosh. Qian Kun's face turned cold, and he said in a low voice, I've long since learned about Qian Bo's death. Now that I've returned, I'll definitely let Ningyu know how formidable I am. Rumble. During the conversation, Qian Kun suddenly unleashed his aura. The Eastern Venerable One was a little surprised when he sensed the fluctuation of aura coming from Qian Kun. Before Qian Kun went to the Immortal Court, his cultivation was only at the early stage of the Immortal King stage. But now Qian Kun's cultivation had already made a qualitative breakthrough. Even among early-stage Immortal Kings, their ranking could be interrupted. 7 days later, go to the Broken Cliff City's City Lord's Manor. At that time, I will join forces with the Northern Venerable One to force Xiao Duanya to let Ningyu and the Madman spar with you. The Eastern Venerable One smirked and said eerily, Don't hold back when the time comes. Take the opportunity to kill Ningyu. As for the lunatic, even a madman deserves to die. Without waiting for the Eastern Venerable One to finish his sentence, Qian Kun replied coldly, I've investigated the matter thoroughly. My grandson's murder a few years ago was the work of a madman. Although he concealed his identity, he still couldn't escape my investigation. Very well. The Eastern Venerable One's eyes lit up, then his body turned illusory. I'll go look for the Northern Venerable One first. Remember, you must go to the Broken Cliff City's governor's mansion in 7 days. The Eastern Venerable One's voice became softer and softer until it finally disappeared. Ka. After the Eastern Venerable One left, Qian Kun clenched his fists tightly, his face cold. Ningyu, you lunatic, I'll let you know the consequences of offending the Qian family. At this moment, in the City Lord's mansion of Western City. Dong dong dong. The Western Venerable One gently tapped the chair he was sitting on with his right hand and calmly said, I've received accurate news that Qian Kun has returned to Eastern City, and the Eastern Venerable One has also gone to Northern City. When Ningyu comes out of closed-door cultivation in 7 days, The Eastern Venerable One will definitely cause trouble together with Qian Kun. Can we contact the Venerable of the South? Tai Muqiang's expression turned ugly. It wasn't easy for him to find a useful person like Ningyu. If he was killed by Qian Kun, wouldn't his efforts be in vain? Therefore, no matter what the reason was, he had to ensure Ningyu's safety. I've contacted the Venerable One of the South a long time ago, but he doesn't really care about these things. The Western Venerable One shook his head and said, the Southern Venerable One will remain neutral. We must rely on ourselves. Rely on myself, Tai Muqiang frowned slightly. Then, he gritted his teeth and said coldly, we might as well go all the way. Let's kill Qian Kun before Ningyu comes out of closed-door cultivation. Don't be rash. The Western Venerable One quickly said, if you can think of assassinating Qian Kun will definitely think of it too. Who knows, he might have already set up a trap and is waiting for us to fall into it. What should we do then? We can't just watch as Ningyu is killed, can we? Tai Muqiang said angrily, I don't care. If Qian Kun dares to fight Ningyu in 7 days, I'll definitely stop him. Actually, there's another way. The Western Venerable One thought for a while and said, we don't have to stop him. We just need to give Ningyu some trump cards when the time comes. Tai Muqiang was slightly stunned, then looked at the Western Venerable One in shock. Tai Muqiang was no fool. He understood what the Western Venerable One meant. Giving Ningyu trump cards meant that Ningyu would have to fight Qian Kun. In other words, the Western Venerable One thought highly of Ningyu and felt that Ningyu's strength would soar in 7 days. At the very least, he would be able to resist Qian Kun's attack. That was an immortal king. Even the weakest immortal king could easily kill a 5th-stage half-step immortal king. Since ancient times, only some peerless super-immortal king geniuses could fight against immortal king powerhouses when they were only at the 5th-stage half-step immortal king. Could it be the Western Venerable had such a high opinion of Ningyu? You have to know that we don't want Ningyu to die in battle. Xiao Duanya doesn't want that either. The Western Venerable One said in a deep voice, just do as I say. 7 days later, we will secretly give Ningyu some trump cards. Alright. Since the Western Venerable had already put it this way, there was no need for Tai Muqiang to argue anymore. His figure flashed and he was about to leave. At this moment, in a certain inn in Broken Cliff City, Yang Yuming and Emo Chang were arguing. Yang Yuming, hurry up and return the 20,000 two-world stones to me. Emo Chang stared at Yang Yuming with a cold expression and said coldly, according to the bet, you lost. Not only do you have to return the 20,000 two-world stones, but you also have to submit to me and listen to my orders. Pfft. Yang Yuming spat and said coldly, Ningyu won the final championship. You have to listen to my orders. Wrong. Emo Chang said angrily, Ningyu didn't win the championship. He and Feng Zi tied for the championship. Tied for the championship isn't the championship? Yang Yuming asked. That's different. Emo Chang argued. Forget it. I don't want to talk nonsense with you. Yang Yuming waved his hand and said, I already know about your character. I am already satisfied to be able to win 20,000 two-world stones from you. We will meet again. Swoosh. As they spoke, Yang Yuming's figure flashed and disappeared. Swoosh. As soon as Yang Yuming left, a martial artist appeared from the void. Young master, do you want me to? After this martial artist appeared, he placed his right hand on his neck and said fiercely, Don't mess around. Emo Chang said in a deep voice, Yang Yuming's status in his super-celestial kingdom is equal to mine, or even higher. I dare to guarantee that before you killed Yang Yuming, you were already killed by the people Yang Yuming is secretly protecting. Someone is secretly protecting Yang Yuming? The martial artist with the crew cut who appeared was surprised. He was an immortal king, and his perception was extremely strong. Even he couldn't discover it. How did Emo Chang discover it? Swish. As if sensing the doubts of the crew cut Immortal King, Emo Chang took out a crystal ball and shook it, saying, "This is the Immortal King detector. There are a few red dots on it, which means that there are a few Immortal Kings around." Chapter 2395. 2395. Advance. Gasp. The cultivator with the crew cut gasped when he heard Emo Chang's analysis. That was close. Luckily, he did not attack Yang Yumming on his own. Otherwise, he might have ended up dead. Let's observe the situation first. Let's wait for Ning Yu and the madman to come out from the steep cliff pool. Emo Chang clenched his fists tightly. His eyes turned extremely cold. Emo Chang was no fool. He had thoroughly offended Ning Yu. It was obvious that it was impossible for Ning Yu to join his celestial kingdom and become his subordinate. However, since he had no way of subduing Ning Yu, he could not let Yang Yumming come into contact with Ning Yu either. After all, the current situation was extremely unfavorable to him. If Yang Yumming gave Ning Yu 10,000 two-realm stones, Ning Yu might really submit to Yang Yumming. Therefore, in order to prevent such a thing from happening, Emo Chang must not let Ning Yu come into contact with Yang Yumming. All right. The flat-top Immortal King nodded. Then, his body gradually turned illusory and merged into the void, disappearing. Bang! Meanwhile, inside the steep cliff pool, a terrifying aura suddenly burst out from the madman's body. However, judging from the aura, the madman's strength was extremely close to the Immortal King realm. That being said, the madman's true strength was still an insurmountable distance away from the Immortal King realm. Bang! As soon as the madman's aura burst out, a muffled sound came from Ning Yu's body. Third phase half-Immortal King realm? The madman was astonished when he sensed the aura coming from Ning Yu's body. It had been 3 days since he and Ning Yu entered the steep cliff pool. In these 3 days, the madman's cultivation had yet to break through to the Immortal King realm. Only the energy in his body had increased. Originally, Madman thought that he would benefit the most, but now, after seeing Ning Yu's aura fluctuations, he knew that he was wrong, and extremely wrong. If he could be said to be evenly matched with Ning Yu before entering the cliff pool, then Ning Yu would not need to spend too much time and effort to defeat him now. Take this. It was obvious that the madman was not willing to give up. He slapped the surface of the pool with both hands and his body turned into a blur as he charged out. The madman's speed was very fast. In almost an instant, he arrived in front of Ning Yu. His right hand clenched into a fist, and with a violent wave of energy, he ruthlessly punched at Ning Yu's chest. Because it was just a spar, Madman did not use his full strength in this punch. He only used 50% of his strength. Although it was only 50% of his strength, if a 5th stage half-step Immortal King was here, he would probably faint from fright. The reason for that was because the might of the lunatic's punch was truly too terrifying. Almost no one who had just advanced to the 5th stage half-step Immortal King realm could withstand it. Even some veteran 5th stage half-step Immortal King realm experts would have to reconsider whether they could withstand the lunatic's terrifying punch. 50% of my strength. Looking at the lunatic charging towards him, Ning Yu's expression turned slightly solemn. It was not that Ning Yu was afraid of the lunatic, but he was afraid of accidentally injuring the lunatic. After all, his current cultivation base was at the 3rd stage half-step Immortal King realm. His overall strength had already increased by several times. Even if he only used 50% of his strength, he could still easily defeat the lunatic. Hey, forget it. With a sigh, Ning Yu gathered the energy in his body on his fist, and threw a punch. This punch, Ning Yu did not use 50% of his strength, but 10% of his strength. Bang! Along with a crisp sound, Ning Yu stood on the spot without moving. As for the madman, he was blasted out of the cliff pool. You. The lunatic's eyes widened as he pointed at Ningyu. His face was filled with astonishment. He knew that Ningyu was very strong, but he did not expect it to be this strong. According to his observation, the strength that Ningyu displayed just now did not exceed 10%. One had to know that he had used a full 50% of his strength. 10% of Ningyu's strength against 50% of his strength, yet Ningyu was still able to easily defeat him. It could be imagined how formidable Ningyu's strength was. The more he thought about it, the more shocked he was. However, being shocked was just being shocked. After the lunatic tested his strength, he did not launch a second attack at Ningyu. This was because the lunatic knew very well that he and Ningyu were people from two different worlds. If Ningyu wanted to defeat him, it would be effortless. Plop! It was unknown if the lunatic had suffered a blow, but he leaped into the cliff pool. Chi. The devouring power surged out crazily, and the energy of the cliff pool continuously entered the lunatic's body. With every surge of energy in his body, the lunatic would secretly calculate the difference between him and Ningyu. Rumble! While the lunatic was devouring the energy in the cliff pool, Ningyu had already started to use the energy to temper his body. Xiao Duanya had given Ningyu a few advancement pills, but Ningyu knew that with the strength of his body right now, if he were to forcefully consume the advancement pills, the final result would be his body exploding, and he would die. Therefore, Ningyu wanted to use the energy in the cliff pool to temper his body. When his body strength reached the Immortal King level, he would be able to consume the advancement pills. Gulp! As the lunatic devoured the energy, he paid attention to Ningyu's actions. When he saw Ningyu using the energy to temper his body, he could not help but swallow a mouthful of saliva. Energy tempering his body. To be honest, the lunatic also wanted to use the energy to temper his body. However, energy tempering would waste a lot of time. Comparatively speaking, the lunatic preferred to devour energy to increase his strength. After all, as long as his strength increased, it did not matter if his body strength was slightly weaker. Anyway, when he advanced to the Immortal King level, his body would undergo a whole new tempering. At that time, his body strength would have a qualitative increase. Ningyu did not care what the lunatic was thinking. To him, the most important thing was to use the energy to temper his body, and then consume the advancement pills to increase his cultivation. Drip, drip. Time passed by the minutes and seconds. The fourth day passed, and Ningyu increased his body strength to the 5th stage half-step Immortal King level. A 5th stage half-step Immortal King obviously could not consume the 3rd advancement pill. On the 5th day, Ningyu had already increased his body strength to infinitely close to the Immortal King level. Still not enough. Crack, crack, crack. On the 6th day, Ningyu's body gave off cracking sounds. Good! Ningyu could not help but clap his hands and cheer. Crack! Without wasting any time, Ningyu directly took out an advancement pill from his bosom and threw it into his mouth to chew. Boom! Once the advancement pill entered his mouth, it went down Ningyu's throat and into his stomach. As Ningyu continued to circulate his technique to refine the advancement pill, it was quickly refined. When the 7th day quietly arrived, an extremely terrifying aura suddenly emitted from Ningyu's body. 4th stage half-step Immortal King. Chapter 2396. Chapter 2396. Chapter 2396 Provocation. Gulp. Feeling the terrifying aura emanating from Ningyu, the madman swallowed his saliva again. 4th stage half-step Immortal King. The madman was in a bad mood. Although he knew that Ningyu would definitely advance to the 4th stage half-step Immortal King, he did not expect it to be so fast. There was only 1 day left before the 7 days were up, and Ningyu still had 2 ascension pills on him. The madman even suspected that Ningyu would consume another ascension pill to raise his cultivation to the 5th stage half-step Immortal King. Very good. Ningyu did not care what the madman was thinking. He first used his internal insight technique to check the condition of his body, then nodded in satisfaction. After advancing to the 4th stage half-step Immortal King, Ningyu was confident that he could fight against a real Immortal King. Before, Ningyu's cultivation was only at the 1st stage half-step Immortal King. If he encountered an Immortal King powerhouse, he could only hold a grudge and would not even have the chance to escape. Now that he had advanced to the 4th stage half-step Immortal King, he was confident that he could even fight against a real Immortal King. There's still one more day. Ningyu frowned slightly. On the last day, it would be very difficult to increase his cultivation by another level. However, he did not want to waste the last day. After thinking about it, the devouring power in Ningyu's body surged wildly and started to devour the energy in the cliff pool. Chi. Because of the cultivation substitute, Ningyu's devouring speed was several times faster. In just a few hours, Ningyu had devoured the energy that the madman needed a day to devour. I can't believe it. The madman had been paying attention to Ningyu's actions. When he saw that Ningyu's devouring speed had increased again, he immediately cursed. It was really infuriating to compare oneself to others. He cultivated painstakingly and devoured energy diligently. Ningyu, on the other hand, without any effort, he raised his cultivation to the stage 4 half-step Immortal King realm, and even devoured a large amount of energy. Faster! The madman was not one to fall behind. He activated the spell technique within his body to its maximum extent and began to devour energy, trying to devour as much energy as possible before the time limit expired. Drip, drip, time flew by. In the blink of an eye, 7 days had passed. Creak. Xiao Duanya's concept of time was very important. As soon as the time was up, he opened the door of the room where the cliff pool was and said to Ningyu and Fengzi, "You can come out now." Walla, walla. Ningyu and Fengzi would not stay at the cliff pond and refused to leave. Before Xiao Duanya could speak, they had already left the cliff pool and were heading outside. Gotcha! Just as Ningyu and the madman left the room where the broken cliff pool was, the space around them trembled. Then, several figures descended. These figures were not strangers. The Western Venerable, the Eastern Venerable, the Northern Venerable, and the Southern Venerable. From the positions of the 4 of them, it was obvious that they were divided into 3 camps. The Eastern Venerable and the Northern Venerable were in one camp, while the Southern Venerable and the Western Venerable were in their own camp. Ningyu, you killed Qianbo. Although I tried my best to help you, the Immortal King of the Qian clan did not listen to me and insisted on coming to find you personally. Swoosh. Just as the Eastern Venerable finished his sentence, the void split open again, and a white-robed old man slowly appeared in front of everyone. Qian Kun. Seeing the martial artist in white, the Western Venerable's face turned extremely cold. The person was none other than the Immortal King of the Qian clan, Qian Kun. The Western Venerable knew that the Eastern Venerable was in contact with Qian Kun secretly, but he did not expect Qian Kun to appear at this juncture. One had to know. He had not given Ningyu his trump card that he had prepared. If Qian Kun wanted to spar with Ningyu, wouldn't he cry to death? This is Cliff City, not your Qian clan's territory. Xiao Duanya's face did not look too good. Qian Kun openly coming to Cliff City was obviously a provocation to him. After all, Qian Kun was an Immortal King expert. According to the agreement, if this kind of Immortal King expert wanted to go to another city, he had to inform him in advance. Just like Tai Muqiang, before he came to Cliff Lake, he had informed Xiao Duanya first. Haha, Brother Duanya, why are you so angry? Qian Kun smiled and said, "This time, I did not come to cause trouble, but to spar with Ningyu." Humph. You are a Immortal King, and Ningyu is only a 4th stage half-step Immortal King. Aren't you ashamed to spar with him? Xiao Duanya snorted coldly. He had wanted to say that there was a huge difference in cultivation between Ning Yu and Qian Kun. However, he suddenly realized that Ning Yu had advanced to a 4th stage half-step Immortal King. This discovery gave him a huge shock. He had originally thought that after 7 days, Ning Yu would at most advance to a 3rd stage half-step Immortal King. However, Ning Yu gave him a huge surprise. In 7 days, his cultivation soared by 3 stages. This kind of cultivation speed really surprised him. What's the big deal? Qian Kun shrugged and said, Ning Yu killed Qian Bo of the Qian clan, so he naturally has to receive the punishment he deserves. How about this? I'll give Ning Yu a chance. Clap, clap. As they spoke, Qian Kun clapped his hands. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Then, 3 martial artists flew over from afar and landed. Qian Wen, Qian Lingxue, Qian Ming. The 3 of them were all at the 5th stage half-step Immortal King realm. Furthermore, they were only half a step away from a true Immortal King. Qian Kun pointed at Qian Wen and the others and said, As long as Ning Yu can easily defeat the 3 of them, I will suppress my cultivation to a 4th stage half-step Immortal King and spar with Ning Yu. Is that true? Hearing Qian Kun's words, Xiao Duanya frowned and said, If it was really as Qian Kun said, then Ning Yu might be able to spar with him. Although Qian Kun was an Immortal King with battle experience and many trump cards. However, in a spar with the same cultivation, Ning Yu might not be defeated. Really? Qian Kun said indifferently. Xiao Duanya thought for a while, then shifted his gaze to Ning Yu and asked, What do you think about Qian Kun's request? Sure. Ning Yu said almost without thinking. Even if Qian Kun did not suppress his cultivation, Ning Yu felt that he could contend with him. Once Qian Kun suppressed his cultivation to a 4th stage half-step Immortal King, then Ning Yu would have a 99% chance of killing him. Qian Wen, you go first. After getting Ning Yu's affirmative answer, Qian Kun said coldly, Although it is not advisable to kill in a spar, since it is a battle, there will inevitably be casualties. You have to be careful. Understood. Qian Wen nodded and said, Even a lion will use its full strength to catch a rabbit, let alone a martial artist with a lower cultivation than me. Obviously, Qian Wen was mocking Ning Yu. Ning Yu did not take Qian Wen's mockery to heart at all. You can mock me all you want. Anyway, you will be easily defeated by me later. Humph. Seeing that Ning Yu was indifferent, Qian Wen snorted coldly, then stomped on the ground and was about to rush out. Wait. Chapter 2397. Defeat. Wager. Qian Wen raised his eyebrows and looked at Ning Yu with interest. He asked, What wager do you want? 1,002 realm stones? Haha, aren't you being too petty? Ning Yu smiled and extended a finger. He said, 10,002 realm stones. If you defeat me, I will give you 10,002 realm stones. If I defeat you, you will give me 10,002 realm stones. Swoosh. Qian Wen's expression changed slightly. He did not expect Ning Yu to propose such a wager. One should know that 10,002 realm stones was not a small sum. He definitely could not afford it. Could Ning Yu afford it? He was skeptical. After all, Ning Yu was only a level 4 half-step Celestial King. It did not make sense for him to have so many 2 realm stones. You don't dare? Ning Yu twitched his mouth and said, Come on, let me see what kind of ability you have. You don't even dare to bet 10,002 realm stones. I will bet on his behalf. Before Ning Yu had finished speaking, Qian Kun stepped forward and took out a spatial ring. He said, There are 10,002 realm stones in here. If you can defeat Qian Wen in 3 moves, it will be yours. To be honest, although Qian Kun was very confident in Qian Wen, he did not think that Qian Wen could defeat Ning Yu. After all, Ning Yu could become the champion of the Broken Cliff meeting and cultivate for 7 days in the Broken Cliff pool. He must be very powerful. He let Qianwen and the others fight not to defeat Ningyu, but to create a buffer between him and Xiao Duanya. Otherwise, Xiao Duanya would not have agreed to fight with Ningyu. Defeat Qianwen in 3 moves? Ningyu raised his eyebrows and extended a finger. He said, 1 move. I only need 1 move to defeat Qianwen. Arrogant. Qianwen was furious. He stomped on the ground and dashed forward. Almost instantly, Qianwen arrived in front of Ningyu. His right hand clenched into a fist, bringing with it a violent gale of energy. He ruthlessly punched towards Ningyu's head. Qianwen's punch was powerful, and he even used his trump card. However, whether Qianwen used his trump card or not, it did not have much effect on Ningyu. Bang! When Qianwen arrived in front of him, Ningyu gently pushed out his right hand. Along with a clear and melodious sound rang out. Qianwen's body flew backward like a kite with a broken string. Poochie! As his body hit the ground, Qianwen spurted out a mouthful of blood. His aura instantly dropped from the 5th stage half-step Celestial King Realm to the 1st stage half-step Celestial King Realm. 1 move. Ningyu had only used 1 move to defeat Qianwen, who was only half a step away from becoming an immortal king. Whoosh! Seeing Qianwen defeated, the expressions of the surrounding people changed slightly. Especially Qian Kun. His face was cold, and his body was even trembling. Losing 10,000 2-realm stones was a small matter. Now, he doubted whether he could kill Ningyu after suppressing his cultivation to the 4th stage half-step Celestial King Realm. This was the key. Give it to me. After defeating Qianwen casually, Ningyu stretched out his right hand and said to Qian Kun, "You lost the bet. 10,000 2-realm stones, you won't go back on your words, right?" Humph! Qian Kun snorted coldly. He flicked his wrist and threw the interspatial ring to Ningyu. Puff! Ningyu bent his legs slightly and caught the interspatial ring with his right hand. Obviously, Qian Kun quietly injected a force into the interspatial ring. Qian Kun wanted to use this force to hurt Ningyu, but Ningyu noticed it and easily broke Qian Kun's attack. Qian Lingxue. Qian Kun turned to look at Qian Lingxue and said coldly, "Go and fight with Ningyu. This time, no matter what, you have to withstand 3 moves." Yes. Qian Lingxue's expression was grim. Her strength was similar to Qianwen's. Even if she was stronger than Qianwen, she wouldn't be much stronger. The fact that Ningyu could defeat Qianwen in 1 move meant that he would probably only need 1 or 2 moves to defeat her. Now that Qian Kun wanted her to withstand 3 moves, it was extremely difficult. Swoosh! Just as Qian Lingxue was thinking about how she could withstand 3 moves, a force secretly entered her body. Qian Kun struck. In order to ensure that Qian Lingxue could withstand 3 moves, he left a terrifying force in her body. He could withstand 10,000 2-realm stones. However, even he couldn't withstand 20,000 or 30,000. "Ningyu, are you betting this time?" After injecting the force into Qian Lingxue's body, Qian Kun looked at Ningyu and said loudly, 3 moves. If you can't defeat Qian Lingxue within 3 moves, you'll have to return the 10,000 2-realm stones that you won earlier to me. Of course, if you can defeat Qian Lingxue within 3 moves, I'll also give you 10,000 2-realm stones. Deal. Ningyu was delighted. Qian Kun was really like a pig. Giving him 2-realm stones one after another was no different from a fortune teller. Go. Qian Kun patted Qian Lingxue's shoulder and said in a deep voice, "You can only win. You can't lose." Swoosh. With Qian Kun's patting, Qian Lingxue quickly came in front of Ningyu. Puss! On her fist, terrifying energy and force intertwined with each other, giving off a sizzling sound. Something fishy? Seeing the change in Qian Lingxue's fist, Ningyu raised his eyebrows and realized that something was wrong. Originally, he didn't need 3 moves to defeat Qian Lingxue. In fact, he only needed 1 move. However, if he wanted to defeat Qian Lingxue within 3 moves now, it would probably be more difficult. Ningyu was too careless. Xiao Duanya shook his head and said. He naturally saw that Qian Kun had done something. However, he didn't plan to help Ningyu. In his opinion, it wasn't a big deal for Ningyu to lose a wager. Instead, it could make Ningyu change his temper. After all, he would definitely have to fight Qian Kun next. He could be arrogant when fighting others, but if he were to be arrogant when fighting Qian Kun, he would definitely suffer. I don't think so. The madman shook his head and said, Ningyu is very powerful. Even 2 or 3 of me might not be his match. Xiao Duanyao was slightly surprised. He understood the madman very well. Ever since the madman relied on him, he had never shown such fear towards anyone. Since the madman thought so highly of Ningyu, it meant that Ningyu's performance in the cliff pool had completely won over the madman. At this moment, Xiao Duanya even felt a little regretful. Because he had something to do, he didn't contact him and observe him for 7 days. From the madman's words, he could conclude that he had missed out on something. Bang! Xiao Duanyao was still feeling regretful, but the battle over there had already ended. How is this possible? Qian Kun's mouth was slightly open, and her entire person was stunned on the spot. 1 move. It was the same as defeating Qianwen. Ningyu defeated Qian Lingxue with just 1 move again. He had left a force in Qian Lingxue's body. Just that force alone was enough to kill a 5th-stage half-step Celestial King expert. How did Ningyu do it? He first broke his force, then sent Qian Lingxue flying with a punch. Nothing is impossible. Chapter 2398. Chapter 2398. Chapter 2398. A fight to the death, damn it. Qian Kun was furious. He originally thought that Qian Lingxue would be able to withstand 3 moves. Who would have thought that Qian Lingxue wouldn't even be able to withstand a single move and would be easily defeated by Ningyu? Here. Helpless, Qian Kun could only take out another space ring and throw it to Ningyu. In addition to the 10,000 two-world stones she had just lost, Qian Kun had lost a total of 20,000 two-world stones. With so many two-world stones, even Qian Kun felt some pressure. Qian Ming. Qian Kun glared at the last cultivator with a gloomy expression on his face and said fiercely, You're one of the top 3 peerless experts of the Qian family in Oriental City. If you can't withstand 3 moves from Ningyu, I'll let you know the true meaning of cruelty. Whoosh! Qian Ming shuddered when he heard Qian Kun's slightly threatening words. Block 3 moves? It didn't seem difficult, but in reality, it was extremely difficult. He had sparred with Qian Wen and Qian Lingxue before. At that time, he had fought Qian Wen and Qian Lingxue alone, and it had taken him 5 moves to win. From this, it was extremely difficult for him to withstand 3 moves from Ningyu. However, no matter how difficult it was, Qian Ming had to brace himself and go through it. He was one of the top 3 experts of the Qian clan in Oriental City. If Ningyu managed to defeat all 3 of them, it would be very difficult for the Qian family to gain a foothold in Dongfang City. Taking a deep breath, Qian Ming nodded heavily and said in a low voice, Don't worry, even if I suffer a heavy injury, I will absolutely not let Ningyu defeat me within 3 moves. Poochie. Ningyu couldn't help but laugh. He thought that Qian Ming would say something harsh, but in the end, he actually said this. When others became ruthless, they would want to defeat their opponent. Qian Ming, on the other hand, was determined to not be defeated by Ningyu within 3 moves. What are you laughing at? Qian Ming said coldly. Since you and Qian Wen have stakes in the fight, then the fight between us must also have some stakes. Whoosh! With a flick of his wrist, a pill appeared in Qian Ming's hand. Promotion pill. The medicinal pill in Qian Ming's hand was a promotion pill. Shaking the ascension pill, Qian Ming said in a low voice, If you can't defeat me within 3 moves, then you have to give me a ascension pill. Otherwise, I'll give this ascension pill to you. Stop, stop. Ningyu hurriedly said, according to the usual practice, the wager for this fight with you should be 10,000 two-realm stones. Now that you've taken out a promotion pill, what's the meaning of this? You. Qian Ming was so angry that his nose became crooked. What a wishful thinking. He wanted to change the topic so that Ningyu would not raise the bet of 10,000 two-realm stones. In the end, Ningyu didn't buy it. Qian Ming took a deep breath and shifted his gaze to Qian Kun. He definitely could not afford 10,000 two-world stones. Unless Qian Kun sponsored him, he might not even be able to fight against Ningyu. I'll go. Qian Kun gritted his teeth and said with a ferocious expression, You better hope that you can still be so arrogant when you fight me later. Hee, you don't have to worry about that, Ningyu said with a faint smile. Swoosh. As soon as Ningyu's voice fell, Qian Ming stomped on the ground and his body immediately darted out. Boom. Terrifying energy surged out of his body. In an instant, an energy shield appeared around Qian Ming. Take my punch. With a roar, Qian Ming's iron-like fist blasted toward Ningyu's head. Crack. At the next moment, a crisp sound rang out. Not good. The crisp sound that came to his ears caused Qian Ming's expression to change drastically. He didn't have time to attack Ningyu, so he immediately chose to retreat. It's too late to think of retreating now. After smashing the energy shield with a punch, Ningyu's fist blasted toward Qian Ming's chest. Boom. A muffled sound rang out. Qian Ming was like a kite with a broken string, flying backward in a straight line. It was the same scene. Against Qian Ming, Ningyu only used one move. Give me 10,000 two-realm stones. Ningyu stretched out his hand and looked at Qian Kun. Here you go. Qian Kun gritted his teeth and said, Next, I want to spar with you. Let's make a big bet. 30,000 two-realm stones. Pa. Catching the two-realm stones that Qian Kun threw over, Ningyu shrugged and said, Tell me, how do you want to bet? It's very simple. If you can defeat me in 3 moves, I'll give you 30,000 two-realm stones. Otherwise, you give me 30,000 two-realm stones, Qian Kun said coldly. Ningyu laughed out loud. Qian Kun was as funny as Qian Ming. Defeating a celestial king powerhouse in 3 moves? What a joke. Ningyu was very clear about his own strength. Although Qian Kun had suppressed his cultivation to the 4th stage half-step celestial king realm, it would be difficult for him to defeat Qian Kun without dozens of moves. Then how do you want to bet? Qian Kun said in a low voice. How about this, let's not bet and just fight to the death. If you win me, everything I have will belong to you. If I win you, everything you have will belong to me, Ningyu said after thinking for a while. Okay. Qian Kun agreed on the spot. Such a good opportunity was like a pie falling from the sky. Qian Kun was worried about not being able to propose a life-and-death battle, but Ningyu had solved this problem for him. Don't be impulsive, the Western Venerable hurriedly said. Even Tai Muqiang tried to stop him. A life-and-death battle with Qian Kun was an extremely unwise decision. After all, if it was a normal fight, the two of them could take care of each other and save Ningyu's life when it was necessary. But once it was a life-and-death battle, unless it was a life-and-death battle, they would not be able to participate. What do you mean by don't be impulsive? The Eastern Venerable and the Northern Venerable took a step forward and stood in front of Tai Muqiang and the Western Venerable. They said coldly, the life-and-death battle was proposed by Ningyu. Qian Kun was only forced to accept the challenge. You. The Western Venerable was enraged. The aura in his body was suddenly unleashed. You what? The Eastern Venerable was not afraid in the slightest. He unleashed his aura and clashed with the aura of the Western Venerable. Chi-chi. The two terrifying auras clashed. In an instant, the void trembled and several cracks appeared. Rumble. The Eastern Venerable faced off against the Western Venerable, while Tai Muqiang faced off against the Northern Venerable. All of a sudden, all kinds of techniques were unleashed, and the aura continued to rise. Enough. At this moment, Xiao Duanya said coldly, "If anyone dares to unleash their aura again, don't blame me for being impolite." Swoosh. The moment Xiao Duanya spoke, the Eastern Venerable and the others all stopped. This was Broken Cliff City, Xiao Duanya's headquarters. They could force Xiao Duanya, but they could not really provoke him. Otherwise, once Xiao Duanya unleashed his aura, the following spar between Qian Kun and Ning Yu would be cancelled. Have you thought this through? Xiao Duanya did not care about what the Eastern Venerable and the others were thinking. Instead, he turned to look at Ning Yu and asked, "Qian Kun is an expert of the Celestial King level. Even if he suppressed his cultivation to the 4th stage, half a step away from the Celestial King level, he would still be an unparalleled expert." I have thought this through. Ning Yu knew that Xiao Duanya was doing this for his own good. However, his decision to have a life-and-death battle with Qian Kun was not an impulsive one. Rather than being constantly targeted by Qian Kun, he might as well take advantage of the fact that Xiao Duanya and the others were here to completely get rid of the trouble that was Qian Kun. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.